Because again, there was no time, he was called to say, I'm interested, I want to run for this thing. You know? Yes.
He never said he was interested.
No, I mean Tinubu.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He never called to say, I'm interested in this thing.
Okay.
Go and drop your ambition. No, he never. In fact, there are even other things I will not want to reveal now, which I'm putting into my autobiography. What happened between us, the kind of discussions we had.
But did Professor Osinbajo consult with President Tinubu?
Yeah, when he wanted to come, of course he went to see him to say I wanted to run. And he never said don't run.
He gave him his blessings?
Oh, of course, he never said if you don't run.
So at what point did things change? 4 years ago, was it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I can't remember.
Yes.
You spearheaded a campaign for Professor Yemi Osinbajo to become president.
Yes.
And during the nights of the manifesto nights, campaign nights, and everything, Senator Bola Tinubu, now President Bola Tinubu, carried the day.
Yeah, at the primary. Yeah.
And ever since you retired to your farm.
Yes.
What happened? Mo kí ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ ìkànnì Àgbàlẹ̀tù television ẹ ṣé tí ẹ ń bá wa bọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ètò alọ́kan òjọ̀kan. Inú mi máa ń dùn wípé àwọn nǹkan tá à ń ṣe yìí à ń lóore ọ̀fẹ́ láti ṣe. Lénìí mo wà ní ìlú Adó Èkìtì ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì. Orúkọ ńlá ni mo wá wálé. Orúkọ ńlá ni wọ́n tún ti di àwọn ipò tó ní agbára mú. Ẹ mọ̀ pé àwa tó yẹ pé humble background láti wọ́n ti ta bá jókòó ti ẹni tó jẹ́ senator. Ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. Now mo wá lọ sí orí Google ẹ máa gbọ́ o. Babafemi Ojudu, one Nigerian journalist, age 63 years, 27th March 1961. Babafemi Ojudu is a Nigerian journalist who was elected senator for the Ekiti Central constituency of Ekiti State, Nigeria, in the April 2011 national elections. He ran on the Action Congress of Nigeria platform. All right, Babafemi Ojudu University Education. Another platform, so Babafemi Ojudu, 27th March 1961, is a Nigerian journalist who was elected senator. Lori Instagram, Lori X, a journalist, politician, and special advisor to the President of Nigeria on political matters. Lori, another platform, veteran journalist, arts collector, and politician, Senator Babafemi Ojudu talks in this and so on and so forth. Okay, BBC not to share our interviews to perform. The Sun Nigeria, like Soyinka, start fighting for better Nigeria at young age. Senator Babafemi Ojudu tells youths. Then the Ekiti State government, when he reference ex-Senator Ojudu and Nation newspapers misleading story. Okay, I can say question me lati ben. Misleading story, misleading headline.
Yes.
Kini yato?
Misleading story, misleading headline. A misleading story is a story, full of falsehood.
Okay.
Misleading headline, and I'll give an example that I've just read today.
Okay.
Fubara kidnapped in Rivers, in Port Harcourt. When I saw it, I knew that was a misleading headline. They want people to quickly rush and read that story. Fubara is having issues with Wiki.
Okay.
So if you as a layman now read the story and say, Fubara kidnapped, that's a misleading headline.
Okay.
Well, the name of the person kidnapped is Fubara. But they want to suck you in to read that story.
So which is a crime in Medeji?
Yeah, one is an unforgivable crime, The other one is forgivable.
It's forgivable.
Yes.
Okay, because Monla and journalism that are done. So teba ko story yin ton.
Yes.
Eve ka won yo ka.
Yes.
Teba ko headline kan to inu e na let mu o.
Ben.
But e wa call in such a way that pe to ma wan pe o wa nbe lo to.
Yes. So, another one recently is Soyinka arrested at the airport.
Okay.
If you see Soyinka arrested, the guy arrested, is a Soyinka. But Soyinka arrested, the first thing it called up in your mind,
Professor Wale Soyinka.
They would have bought the paper or pick up the news and read it before you know it's not Wale Soyinka.
Okay.
It's a Soyinka who is a journalist and work with BBC.
Okay.
That's a headline that is misleading. But basically, the story is true that the Soyinka has been arrested.
Okay.
But the intention of the person who cast the headline is to, get you to feel that it is Soyinka so that you can buy or read the news. Yes.
All right. So you were a journalist for 30 years.
Yes, 30 years. I'm still a journalist. I write every day. Interestingly,
Okay.
I wake up in the night and write. I must have something I want to talk about or write. Or right now I'm working on about 5 books at the same time.
At the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
One is almost complete, and I will come out with it in October. Yeah, publish it in October.
All right. Questions mi máa pọ̀ fún yín. Ṣé mọ̀ pé mo rí pé olóyìnbó ni èmi ò gbọ́.
No, I'm asking you.
Èmi ò gbọ́ English o.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that.
All right. So àwọn ìbéèrè mi máa wá from anywhere because mo wà comfortable pẹ̀lú yín.
Yes.
All right.
Please feel free.
Now, as a politician, ẹ ti ṣe senator ní Nigeria rí. At least one time senator.
Yes.
Tí wọ́n bá ń sọ pé àwọn olóṣèlú yẹn gorí wọn ò dáa, báwo lẹ ṣe máa ń feel?
Well, alága tó fẹ́, I agree. Mo gbà pé ó tọ́rí wọn ò dáa. Kò torí wọn bá pé Nàìjíríà ò ní rí wá ṣe rí.
Ẹ̀bọ̀ olóṣèlú lẹ́yìn náà.
Orí wa ò jọ pé pọ̀ náà. Because it's a collective thing. I can tell you, mo lè sọ fún mo wà critical báwọn èèyàn wá ṣe ń hùwà sí àwọn olóṣèlú wa. A fẹ́ lówó òjijì, a fẹ́ kọ́ gbogbo ilé ayé, a fẹ́ ní mọ́tò ogun, a fẹ́ ra private jet, a fẹ́ nílé sí London, ká ní sí America, ká ní sí Paris. Gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ bọ́ wa. Àwọn tá a mọ̀ pé olóṣèlú gidi gẹ́gẹ́ bí Awólọ́wọ̀ nílé kankan outside Nigeria. Mi ti gbọ́ pé Nnamdi Azikiwe nílé kankan sí lóyìnbó rí. Mi gbọ́ pé ẹ máa para. Aminu Kano tiẹ̀ ní kankan.
Kò nílé kankan.
Onílé sí Kano, but that is not a house that one could say this is a mansion or something. Tafawa Balewa, you need to see his house in Bauchi. I've been there. I've seen his gravesite. Whenever he's as Prime Minister of Nigeria, apadà sílé ajókòó àwọn grandchildren àtàwọn ọmọ ẹ̀, a máa kọ́ wọn ní kéwú lórí ẹni ló máa jókòó sí. So he was Prime Minister. But he was Prime Minister of Nigeria. Amadu Bello, tó jẹ́ Prince ní Sokoto, tó ní power, who can take anything without anybody asking him why. Had it much. Have you heard about any property owned by him anywhere? Suddenly, that greed is overwhelming us, and it's destroying our society. We want to just acquire things that we are not going to take to heaven. So tell anybody wá sọ pé orí wa ò pé lóòótọ́ ni, dẹ̀ ronú mọ́. Gbogbo ìwé tí Awólọ́wọ̀ ti kọ pátápátá mo ti kà, mo dẹ̀ rí pé how many of our people ló ń kàwé tó jẹ́ politician now? Ọ̀rọ̀ ìwé ò kàn wọ́n nǹkan tó máa. So mo lọ kí la máa pè náà in English it was with reluctance I joined politics. With reluctance that I could make a difference.
Ta ló introduce you into politics?
Well, let me say this. My grandparents, both my grandfather and grandmother, were serious politicians in this town. They were members of the action group. Ẹgbẹ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ náà ń ṣe. Ngbà yẹn, wọ́n dẹ̀ ń dáwó lọ́sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ tó máa ti lọ sí meeting. In fact, in 1965, 66, my grandfather was arrested by Akitola and locked up for almost 1 year in Ado prison. Yeah, I was a small boy then. I used to follow my grandmother to go and deliver food at the prison because he will not depart from Awolowo's way. Okay. That kind of thing. My own father, as a young man, wọ́n pè wọ́n ní Zikis, is the youth wing of NCNC, the party of Nnamdi Azikiwe. He traveled around Nigeria, protesting, organizing things, and kind of thing. So I come from a very political family. Okay. So I have seen that, and I too. I now had to live with a senator in 1978, 79.
Who?
Yeah, Professor Banji Akitoye.
Okay.
Then my father, at a point had to join MPN, and I was a member of UPN. We live in the same house. My grandparents were UPN.
MPN versus UPN.
Yeah, my grandparents were UPN. I was UPN. My dad was MPN. In protest against Ajashin, and when Ajashin had serious issues at that time, that kind of thing. So I come from this family, and I was a unionist as a student in the university. Okay. So it was that kind of consciousness of my environment that took me into journalism. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be able to use journalism to influence the affair of society and all of that. But inherent in me is that political thing. And then I, of course, from there moved on to activism. I became an activist. If there is any protest against injustice, I'll be there. I will also report it. I then started moving with, characters like Fela Anikulapo Kuti, Alawa Kabashorun, Beko Ransom Kuti, Fasheun, you know, Nahoro and all of that. And I became, you know.
Now, Moripe, we have a very long story to you have a very long story to tell.
Yes.
Naija Pada see background in so King Wamamuni step after another, one step after the other. But background near our parents one only war political and all that.
Yes.
So primary school or secondary school?
Mulosi primary school, LA primary school, in Ado-Ekiti. From there, I had to go and live with an uncle of mine, Mr. James Olajiga, who recently passed on at about 96. He was a teacher, you know. My dad felt I needed a strong hand. He was too emotional about me. So he won't be me until 5 years after my parents got married.
Okay.
Then they didn't have another one until 5 years after they gave back to me. So he felt that if I continued the way I was in the family, you know, where everybody sees me as a golden egg, I will not make it. So he then sent me to his cousin, who was a teacher, to go and live with. I then was taken around to a school in Ado-Ekiti, from there to Aisegba. And when the discipline was too much for me, I ran away and came back home.
Okay.
And, you know, then was taken to Manuel Primary School. From Manuel Primary School, I graduated and then went to Adogama School for secondary school, you know, where then in 1977 I graduated, yeah.
Okay. So, share our traits in your Jew in secondary school? Of activism?
Oh, certainly. I will tell you this. I remember two incidents clearly. One was the school wanted to go for a football match. We had a rivalry with Christ School, Adogama School and Christ School. They were town rivals when it comes to football. And this match was coming up. They now gathered us as seniors and prefects that we should contribute money to go and do juju so that we could defeat Christ School. And I know that most of the players were either Igbo smokers or serious people. They were not trained and everything. And I told them clearly, whenever they asked me, I'm not contributing money. You cannot win a football match with juju. You have to train. So a few days to the match, they came around in the night, around 1 a.m. and waking everybody to determine who has paid and who has not paid. And I happened to be one of those who have not paid. And I kept telling them, I'm as small as I was then. I was very smallish and looking delicate, not like now, and you know, like you have gathered. So they brought me out of my hostel, stripped me of all my clothes, and I was made to lie down. They beat the hell out of me. And as they were beating me, I kept insisting that I'm not paying. So they left me alone. The day of the match came, we went to the stadium. 2-3 minutes into the match, bam, they scored against us, bam, bam. And at the end of the outcome of the match, it was 7-1. 7 against us who went to do juju. So on our way back from the stadium, they stormed the juju man's house. The man was called Elele. It's an Ibira man from Okene. They stormed the house, broke the window panes. The man jumped out and fled. So that you know, for me is the beginning of the streak of rebellion in me as a young man. So I insisted and stood my ground at that way. And from that moment on, I have contempt for all this juju, mysticism and all of that thing. You know, I just believe that, you know, first of all, hard work, commitment to what you are doing, courage will take you to wherever you can go in there. Experience me, again, I saw my seniors smoking in their hemp. That morality wa. Then you see when they smoke in their hemp, they break the lockers of the juniors, carry their gari, soak the gari in buckets. I don't know.
Effects
in their hemp gives appetite. So they will smoke the gari, take your kuli from you, your milk and sugar, without your permission and consent. So I now, where do they get these things from? Now a colleague of mine, Tokwe Olabode, is late now, told me that there is a brook down in the bush on the campus where they planted it in around it, and that's where they harvest there. So I said, so I led 3 of them there. We uprooted the bow and buried them. So I think they scored there and found out that has been done. They now found out it was me again that led that move. They came for me and beat the hell out of me. So that I mean, when I look back now, you know, I saw that but even dating back, far back when I was just an adolescent, just Across the road, not too far from me, was the village where my maternal grandparents used to farm. So on this long holiday, I was asked to go and stay with them to learn some farming as a young boy, and it was the season when they were harvesting rice and all of that. And it was also the season for the Oro festival. So I went. My grandmother was the one that was still alive, and my maternal grandmother. I slept with her in the modest house on the farm. And in the night, we were hearing the boom, boom, the Oro, so-called Oro sound. And then there was a bonfire made in the center of the village, where people go to keep themselves warm in the night, roast yam and those kind of things. So I was curious. I wanted to know what was behind that Oro. And I told my grandmother one night, I said, look, I want to use the toilet. Of course, there was no toilet in the house. My grandmother thought it was real. He brought a bowl for me to urinate. I tried to urinate. A little came out. I went to sleep, but I was still insistent. That thing was sounding. I need to know. At that point, a woman will not allow to, and the child is not allowed to see Oro. I said, no, I want to do the main thing. My grandmother brought a bowl, said that you should do it here, this boy. I said, no, I have to go and do it. I can't do it inside. I want to go and do it outside. He then gave me the big blow. Said, Allah Kubani, The following day, she woke up, took me, and brought me back to my So that inquisitiveness, that wanting to know, has been in me. And I think that, again, took me to journalism. But the practicality of it itself, again, I'd made up my mind from year 3. In secondary, I was going to become a journalist. I was in year 2, and there was a principal in our school, Mr. Shijie Adejuwon. I was clearly the younger person in my class at that time. Our Timbati class, our classmates me told him about Toby. My fix shock here, caricature, I want to teach you about Toby.
Yes, yeah.
Tombati Ribai, my Akuru Consoli and Fabi, this and that. They will pursue me and beat the hell out of me. That went on and on and on. I didn't know how it got got the attention of the principals. One day I was in the class, and they said the principal was looking for me and that I should report at the principal's office. What could it have been, that kind of thing? So I went. So I got there. You are Babafemi Ojudu? I said, yes, sir. I said, okay, sit down. Right in front of him. The man kept walking. He didn't say anything after that. And I was wondering, why am I here? What is it? What have I done? He didn't say anything. After about 3 hours.
3 hours?
Of agonized sitting. He said I should go and come back tomorrow. I couldn't sleep all of that night.
3 hours?
3 hours. Just kept me. He would look at me, he would continue his work. He would look at me, continue his work. So I got back to the hostel, Daddy, what could it be? Who knows? Have I done anything wrong? Nobody could tell me anything. I was in that anxiety until the morning. Got ready, attended the morning prayers and everything, and I went back to see the principal. He said, sit down. Another 1 hour. He didn't say anything to me. Then after about an hour, he then reached underneath his table and brought out a transistor radio. I said, take this radio. Wake up every 5 a.m. every day. Tune to BBC and VOA. Take down all of the news items, write it down in longhand, and then paste on notice board. Okay. So I left there. At least there was a bit of relief, but there was also a challenge. How can I wake up at 5 a.m. and be listening to radio? I barely at that time could string together, but it was a challenge. I started doing what he asked me to do, and every morning. That deprived me of enough sleep. By the time I finished listening to the radio, writing down, pasting it, I would be tired. I would go get all of the running around drawing. I could no longer do it. Okay. So that calmed me down.
Was that his intention?
That was his intention. Okay. But the amazing thing was that I then fell in love with news. I fell in love with radio. I fell in love with writing. My vocabulary improved. I now started speaking very good English. And I now started loving international and foreign affairs, and that sucked me. And what then followed was search for knowledge. I became a regular at the school library. Anything that is written, including Watchtower by Jehovah's Witness, I will read it. And then I started writing letters to the editor.
Okay.
By the year 3, year 4, one day I was again in school. My dad came with daily sketch, with a letter to the editor I've written, and he showed it to me. He said his friends, some friend of his colleagues are saying to it.
Paper anywhere?
Daily sketch.
Okay.
And it was like I found gold.
Okay.
I ran all over the showed it to my friends. That spurred me to write more, So by the time I finished in secondary school, my dad then asked me my dad wanted me to read law. It was all about law. Maybe because he had seen Afe Babalola, Akinjide, Richard, and all of those top people that he admires who are lawyers and those kind of wrote to me Williams and he kept talking to me. Yes, even Gani was still even not that popular, but not too much in his reckoning at that time. So he then said, "Oh, you should go." And I said, "No, I want to become a journalist." He said, "I don't know how to become a journalist." He took me to one shift, and one of the richest men in town there who runs a very big supermarket, and said, "Baba," took me and said, "I'm a fresh journalist. Journalist." Baba, I don't know. I read only these papers. All my children are doctors and lawyers. I don't know how. So my dad left that place in frustration. So that was it. But I insisted. By the time I was now very regular in writing. Pick the point. I started reading. Then my dad had a friend who was director of research for Central Bank, Chief SB Falegon. My dad used to go to visit him in Lagos, and when coming back, he would bring back copies of Financial Times. Okay. It's a broadsheet, pink colored. That pinkness, different from what the color of Sketch, Tribune, Punch, also attracted me to it. Now, I'll pick Financial Times. A lot of the things that were there, I do not even understand. I could not comprehend, or everything about finance and
figures and
shareholding and share whatever, those kind of figures. But I kept looking at it and tried to see what I can make out of it. And, all of those contributed to my love of journalism.
Okay.
And I insisted I was going to be a journalist. And so even when the other profession that attracted me was soldiering. Being a soldier.
So okay.
Yeah, I wanted to join the army. Then one day I was in Lagos as a scooter boy. I saw the advert that people should apply to join the army, and I wrote to Kaduna. They sent the form to me, and I've completed the form. There was a section of the form that says the chairman of your local government must sign to authenticate that you are from that local government, or the king of your town, whatever. So I now called my dad that I've obtained a form to join the army in Kaduna. I said, what a good idea. Send the form to me. And I sent it to my dad that I will complete it. So I sent a message to him after I've not had. He said, I know, since the chairman has signed it on my own, I assisted you in sending it to Kaduna.
Okay.
So I thought that was true. It wasn't. My dad will not, and I anticipated that I was not called. My dad will not tell me the truth until 1990.
After how many years?
After, that was, I'm talking of 1978, 79. So 1990, I came home after the Oka coup.
Okay.
So we're discussing, we're discussing the Oka coup and all those kind of things, and all of the proprietary or not of it and that kind of thing. And he then went inside his room and came out with my form.
Okay.
He said, this is the form. He said, I knew who you are. That was why I didn't allow you to join the army. If you had joined the army, then you probably have been one of these people that have been shot over this corner. That you have that kind of temperament. You have that kind of temperament. So we laughed over it, and So that's.
All right. So, me OAU.
Yes.
Course with Eshe.
I read English.
Okay.
I read English with a special interest in literature. Because I love reading. I read virtually all the James Alishe's books, and you always see the James Alishe's in the back pocket of my trouser, and everybody. My friends used to laugh at me then they call me bookworm. I love literature. Anything that is written, I became so fascinated by it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So radicalism, yes. Activism started properly for you.
Yes.
Ni OAU. As if I can English.
Yes.
Obere Ife.
Yeah, Obere Ife. Yes, Obere.
Are you University of Ife now?
Yes, yes. At that time, yes.
At that time. What did you meet Fela?
Well, let me say this: as a primary school boy and as a secondary school boy, I have loved Fela's music. You know, hearing him on radio, and right there in my town, there were just 3 record stores. I'm not sure there will be up to 20 homes where there are private, what they call it now, record players in those days. But when we had our dinner in the night, we all would troop out on the main road where there is these record players. You know, they will be blaring the music of Fela, Obe, Sonny, then Babasala's comedy and all of those things, Dele Abiodun, and Propic Peters, all of those people. So we gather in the night from, say, about 6:37 p.m., listening to the music, analyzing what they are saying. You know, who is abusing, who is this, that, what the guitar tune is trying to say, you know, and those kind of things. So that was when Fela's Jankoku came up, dance and dance.
That was around what year? That was around what year?
I think it should be in 75, 74, 73, you know, from that kind of, you know, up to 77, yeah. So Jankoku, Fogo Ebeni, Sisi Nigo Kokan, Egbegole, Patewo, Fogo Ebeni. The synchro system came at about that time, and all of the so-called exchanges between Sonny Ade and then Dele Abiodun and Pick Peters. We knew the song, you know, and then as soon as we left secondary school, we now started buying albums ourselves. You know, my own father then acquired the system to play it at home and those kind of things. And yeah, so that's so I from that moment love Fela, and whenever I try to misbehave, my father say, "You fẹ́ da ọmọ Fela ni." Fela was the symbol of never do well, you know, troublesome boy, you know, and what is it? And a disciplined person at that time.
She wanted correct man.
Oh, correct, one wrong.
Yeah. Maybe because of the bias.
Well, okay, maybe because of I love the music.
Because we play want about the sound. Tell you about Soundling man.
Yes, I remember that Sheun's mom, Sheun Kuti from Ikoti Ekiti here, just ran away from home and went to Lagos to go and join Fela at that time.
Okay.
You know, the conservative parents then, you know, they didn't see Fela's music. They didn't even know the importance of Fela's music. Of course, what will it convey to them? Somebody sing for Egbegole, Patewo, Fogo Ebeni, Sisi Nigo Kokan, that kind of thing. They think that it must be a never do well person that will sing that kind of song. It was not as prayerful as or as didactic as Obe's song and Sonny's song, like Akidairo's religious song there. So Fela for them was, if you're a girl and you are showing a bit of your skin openly on Fela, that kind of thing. So you know, but we had liberty to go out and listen to the music, and I love the music. So, but I never even thought in my widest imagination that I will one day meet Fela or be able to sit down with him until I got to the university. And then, of course, you know, Fela will come to the campus, you know, he will come and give us lectures. He will come with some very huge books, you know, on Egyptology, you know, African medicine, you know, how the world and civilization started from Africa and all that kind of thing. He will say all of those exoteric things. And the man tell you, you know, then to actually a lot song, to Wadale, I play for her, he will play till early morning time. So anytime I find myself,
ordinary member SUGN, honorary member student union.
Yes, student union. If we honored him several times. You know. So whenever I find myself in Lagos, I would then try and go to the shrine to go and watch him perform. You know, gradually, I became a devotee of the shrine.
No,
I never.
But the got too bad in Ugbo eventually.
I saw it as their right. Their right to do what they did. But I passively took in the smoke. Because again, you know, he has a place where he worships his mother and Nkrumah. It's like the shrine itself, you know. You have the photograph of Nkrumah, Osagefo, and you know. Then sometimes we even come with a cock and tear the, you know, the head from the body and splash the, you know, the blood. So he has a special place for VIP. Those of us who regard as VIP, because then I left the university. Okay. I become a journalist, and everything about Fela I will report, you know. And so we are quite many. So Yomotunde, Femi Falana, Larry Arugundade, Shuzi Udenwa, even Richard Mufedamijo, all of us, you know, we must always be there, you know. And then he has that place for us, and often we don't even pay to enter. So I became close to him. Then again, if you want to know anything about Fela, when Fela is going on tour, when he's coming back, when he's listening to an album, you must relate with his younger brother, who was his manager then, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti. Okay. So I started relating with Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti. So
Dr. Beko was already a medical doctor then?
He was a medical doctor, yeah. Okay. His younger brother. In fact, he was the one who facilitated Fela's trip abroad to go and study medicine too. But Fela got to Manchester and told the bag, I'm not interested. So he had to go to the Trinity College of Music in London. So Beko manages him, you know. You will have all of the band members at a file. All of their passports are with him. When they are going on trip, he was the one who facilitated taking the passport to the embassy to obtain visa, buy their tickets, and all of those things, you know. So I started relating, and then of course the Abacha Wahala started. The Babangida Wahala started, a structural adjustment program, the protest and everything. And people were arrested. The first person to be arrested at that time was Comrade Femi Ojudu, you know, came from Oyo North, you know, and you know, we met to see how we can assist in propagating his ideas and calling for his release and all of that. So we met and we tried to go and visit his parents, you know, in a remote village. I can't remember the name now, in Oyo North. Beko drove us down, and so we there from Free Femi Ojudu's association. So we were campaigning when others too also got arrested. Larry got arrested, a few others were arrested. So we can't be saying free Ojudu today, free Ojudu tomorrow, free that. Let us even set up a body. You know, that was how we came by Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, CDHR. CDHR. So I was one of the founding members. Beko became our president. I think my friend Samashe, who's of the nation's news board of editorial board, now became secretary, you know, and that was it. How we started. CDHR,
Committee for the Defense of Human Rights.
So I then got closer and closer to Beko, you know, until
more than Fela.
Both of them. I was alternating between. I got involved
on Fela now.
Yes.
Will you say that Fela was indeed erratic?
Fela was not erratical. You need to see him in his private moment. You know, he wasn't. He was just a man who came before, you know, earlier than
this
time. Yes, yeah, he wasn't erratic. Fela was not erratic, but he had some ideology that you cannot comprehend as a normal person. He's not a normal person. He operated at a different realm. You know, I witnessed a story where. What was the name of this recording company abroad?
EMI.
Not EMI, the one that Island Records that used to produce Bob Marley. I think after the death of Bob Marley, they were looking for an African who could replace Bob Marley, and they came to Nigeria and offered Fela a big contract on the condition that he can cut his music into 3 minutes, 4 minutes tracks. And Fela said, "To hell with you! You can't change my music. Take away your money." And I think that was when they now had to go for Femi Kuti, when, you know, and you know, when they could not get Fela himself, you know, and several other things like that. I mean, so it is, and I also witnessed it whereby, you know, Fela will have engagements abroad, and the promoter will say, "Look, how will you go abroad with 7 men and women? At the end of the day, there will be no profit left. You have to provide hotel accommodation, transportation. It's too hectic, too." Yes, it's some kind of Herculean task for us. They will ask Fela, prune this to 10 or at most 15. Fela will say no, because he will go with the person who holds the cigarette, the man who carries his saxophone, the one who takes care of your costume and all of those things. So when we said, Fela, no, come on, be reasonable. These people these are the figures. Well, I said, no, to hell. If you do, I'm the you are not the musician, no. I'm the musician. If you want to play music, go and join them, go. But I'm not. If these people are not going with me, I'm not going. When they arrest me, they arrest them. When they lock me up, they lock them. Why should I now want to go abroad? And I will leave them behind. And that was how Fela would carry every single person.
As much as 47?
At 50, sometimes.
50 people?
50, yeah, abroad to go and perform. So, I mean, it is not... Another individual will not do that kind of thing. He will not do that kind of thing.
So it wasn't selfish?
It wasn't selfish. I mean,
or maybe it wasn't selfish in that area, because I spoke with...
He lived in the commune.
Baba Ojudu,
yes,
who claimed that Fela was erratic and even selfish.
It depends on the perspective from which you are looking at him. I was not his business partner. Okay. I was not his manager. I was a journalist observing him as different from other regular human beings. I loved the music. I loved his personality. And he was quite genial, very friendly. At his sober moment, the kind of thing that he would say, you'll be shocked. Like, I remember on his 50th birthday, myself and what's the name of Ohi Alegbe, he was assistant editor at that time in African Cocoa. I was a senior staff writer. We sat with him from morning till night. Fela looked at it. He looked at it and said, so I'm 50 today. I think I have to realize I can't start fighting another generation. That was something sober coming from a Fela Kuti at that time. And he helped quite a lot of people. He helped quite a lot of these people. Children who are homeless, just go to the shrine and say, you want to stay, you can stay. They give you a space to sleep.
Without even asking for their parents?
No, where their parents, they give you allowance that will sustain you. So, I mean, how many people can do that? Fela came back from Ghana, after the house in Idioro was burnt, and he was given a flat to stay in somewhere off Toyin, off Allen, in there, a flat. And he went into that flat with more than 70 people. The man who gave him the house had to abandon the place for him. Other tenants in the building abandoned the place. They took over the entire house. And also, on the side was an undeveloped plot of land. The boys took it over and built shacks where many other people came to live and trade in Igbo, cigarette and other things, and Ogoro and whatever. So, that was Fela for you. And if you look at Fela from the fact of his being not from a poor background, I mean, both parents were of elite class. Grandparents were also elite. And being comfortable in the midst of poor people without identity, that there is something different about such a man. But again, extremely brilliant. There is no day I don't listen to his music or watch his performance on TV, and I look at the kind of music he plays, the way everything is coordinated, his dance steps, his lyrics, and I said, look,
an instrumentalist told me that you can't even tell Fela that you have created something. You have to go by whatever instruction it tells you. Whatever you have, you can practice
on the stage. You'll be directing now. In fact, they call him choir master. His boys call him choir master. Baba 17.
Okay, I can pay Baba Fela.
No, Baba 17.
One, if you call Baba Fela, only
Fela is Fela.
Fela is Fela.
But Baba 70.
Okay.
I used to call him Baba 7. I used to call me Akowe. Okay. Whenever he sees me, say Akowe, Kilo Tucheleo. That kind of thing.
Now, I want you to relive your experience with him.
Yes.
Near Abuja.
Yes.
That's all for me.
Yes. Okay. A time was when we had started Sidesha, and we're issuing newsletter every month. My right is my right. That's the title of that. Ambeko now got sucked in deeper into campaigning for democracy. All kinds of riots and protests.
That was in the 90s, eh?
Yeah, in the 90s, yeah. Early 90s and early 90s, before the Abiola thing started. Now, there was this huge protest in Lagos, and at the end of the protest, Babangida rounded up all the activists, major activists, Beko, Femi Falana, Mayegun, a student union leader at that time, Baba Mojola, Gani Fahemi. They were arrested in Lagos and taken to Abuja, locked up in Kuje prison, and then a date was given to arraign them in court. So I went to meet Fela that I'll be going to Abuja. I said he would like to go to Abuja too. I said okay. I will. Then asked his boys to go and look for a vehicle. Fela doesn't have a card. He didn't have a car. After his experience in the Kalakuta Republic, when all his vehicles were set on fire, okay. Fela never bought a car again all through his life. No. So whenever I want to go out, they will call a taxi. No matter how ramshackle it may be, to come and pick him, to take him to wherever he goes. And there could be 8-10 people inside that taxi, everybody cramping it.
He didn't care.
He never cared. Never cared. So they got us a Peugeot 5 station wagon on the day. We left very early. Came with one PA, 3 women, myself, and 3 pillows. Plus the driver. Then we drove all the way, and then he came with cake, which he called sponge cake, and that was the first time we heard about a sponge cake. So barely out of Lagos, he offered me some of his cake, and I've never tasted any cake as delicious as that before. And I ate, had a feel up to Abuja. So we got to Abuja. He brought a mat and asked the women to spread the mat on the floor, and then he had to lie down on his belly because he had a pile, this serious case of pile at that time. So on the mat, and Londoners gathered around to come and see Fela for the first time. They have heard his name, but they've never seen him live. So they came to look at him. So the case was going on. They didn't even bother about the case going on inside the magistrate court. But suddenly they decided that they were granting Beko and the others bail. So everybody came out, got up, we entered our vehicles, and then returned that same day. And we got, coming back again. I continued
eating your sponge cake.
Fela's sponge cake. So we got to Lagos, I think about 12 midnight that day, and I went home. In the morning, I woke up, I couldn't stand on my feet. My head was spinning, and I didn't know what really had happened to me, and I didn't know how my siblings and at that time I don't think I was not. Yeah, my siblings got me into a car. I probably directed them to take me to Beko's clinic in Mushin, somewhere in Mushin, Olosha area. Beko had a clinic. So it's funny to you that Beko had to go and cite his clinic among the poor people. Yeah, most of the services were given free of charge to the poor people. So I was admitted there. There was the Dr. Balogun, his assistant, then gave me the fluids and everything. Beko will not come until evening time. Came and saw me, and then asked me what I ate, and I said I didn't eat anything. No, the only thing I remember I ate was Fela's cake. The cake Fela offered me inside the car. You ate Fela's cake? So I was there for 3 days. They looked after me, and I came back. And that was...
Beko never smoked, have you?
Beko smoked cigarettes, but I never saw Igbo with him.
Was Olikoye as close as Beko to Fela?
They were all close, interestingly, in different ways. You would think that Olikoye, professor of medicine, we have disdain. No. When they are together, their sense of humor is unequaled. They tell jokes, self-deprecating jokes. Beko we call Fela we call Beko a stupid man. Who always want to solve problems by writing and faxing things abroad. How long are you going to? You will just die. You won't achieve anything. And we look at. We come to Beko's house and see us gathered right and say, I don't think we'll let you fax because lady. And interestingly, whenever we have documents that could implicate either of us, either myself or Beko and members of our group, Beko will ask me to join him on a trip to Ikoyi. At that time, Prof was Minister of Health. He will roll the documents in his hand. We'll come out of his car. It's like as if Prof's wife was already waiting for him. As soon as we enter, he will hand over documents to the wife. The wife will go and keep the document. After about 30 minutes, Prof will come down to the living room. So, Prof's house was for all the repository was where we deposit dangerous, seditious, anti-government documents. Nobody will want to go and search the minister's house to go and look for documents. But I have this feeling that, Prof may know that the wife was keeping some things for us in that house at that time, but he pretends as if he didn't. But there was a bond, very strong bond between Beko and Prof's wife. And Prof's wife. So it's a very unique family, very, very unique.
And they were all accomplished.
Oh yes, all accomplished. Medical doctor, musician, and then professor of medicine and all of that. And they didn't interfere in one another's callings. Because I'm in government as a minister, you now ask Beko, don't do your radicalism, don't do your activism, don't attack Babangida. That never happened. Fela, Beko as a medical doctor, never ever one time tell Fela never to smoke his Indian hemp or whatever. No. So everybody is allowed to, to do his independent thing. But there is a common strand of service to community, that binds all of them. If you see the passion with which the professor held his position as minister, again, it's about the people, not about the elite. It's not about money for him. It's not about, he has a golf, Volkswagen Golf, even as minister, whenever he comes to visit because he will drive himself inside that golf. We are a conductor and the sander. So you see that there is something unique about that family.
Now, is it true that Fela actually died of AIDS?
Well, the brother said so. We were all gathered that afternoon at the shrine, and he joined us there. The media was all gathered, and he just dropped it that my brother died of complications from HIV.
Not AIDS.
HIV/AIDS.
HIV/AIDS. Okay.
It was like the silence after that was. It was a time when talking about AIDS, could send people scampering away and running. How can the brother? This man we were all agitated. Some became abusive. It's like demystifying their idol. How can you say Fela that? No, in fact the band boys and everybody around us. No, it's not true, Professor. He don't come with his Akada. Fela didn't die of AIDS. That was that kind of thing. They were angry. I even Femi, was not comfortable with that kind of revelation. But the man said, I'm a medical doctor, and I'm campaigning on how people should protect themselves against this. How can then my brother will die of this and I will not be able to tell the world? Just the same way he said he's going to attend his brother's funeral. People said, no, the brother does not attend. He said, look, what kind of culture is that? How can I not
attend my brother's?
The same way also when Fela changed his name from Ransom Kuti to Anikula Pokuti. He said, how can I be a doctor? And I will say that I have
death in my pouch.
I have death in my pocket. No, I know all my patients will run away now. And beyond that, Fela never consulted any of us. So he has the right to go and change his name, and I have the right to keep my own, name too. But anytime we are in the shrine on weekends, you find his own son to join us at the place.
That's
a vet doctor, Professor first son.
Okay.
Vet doctor will come there. I think he even once in a while attempted drumming and all those kind of things. So it's a good family, and I personally was highly mentored by Beko Razonkuti.
By Beko, not Fela.
Not Fela.
Okay.
Because Beko, is a meticulous organizer. Meticulous. Here is a man who kept a file on each of the children. Every dime that he spent on them is contained in that file. And he knows. He said, he told me, he can calculate how much he has spent on the children on the day of birth to when they leave his house. So very meticulous. So, and the same way, we plan our movement when we are protesting, the same way we manage CDHR, the same way we does everything. And, he has solutions virtually to almost everything. And let me give you a story. There was a riot And Abacha as army chief then ordered the soldier to go on the street and kill anybody they can kill. And they killed several people. I needed to do a story on the riot, and I wanted to determine how many Nigerians, how many Lagosians were killed. And, you know, I need to be able to substantiate this. And I went to Beko that, look, I'm having a challenge. We know that people were killed, but we could not even hear. We don't even be able to talk to anybody whose family. He said, okay, you know what you will do for me? I said, what is it? He said, okay, go to the Island General Hospital, the mortuary there. Have some money with you. Talk to the mortuary attendant and tell them that you have a younger brother who went out on the day of the riot and has not returned ever since. And you have been to police stations and you are looking for, give him money. Go with a photographer that you should be able to manage yourself to snap photographs. So what a great idea. So I went back to the office, called Shegun Olakiton, was our photographer then. We went to General Hospital, the mortuary in the center of Lagos then, and I met the guy. And I put on a somber appearance and told him that, you know, my brother has been missing since the day of the day. He said, okay. I said, please. And I don't know what to tell my parents. So as I was talking to him, I brought out money and said, please let me check. So he followed me. And right there on the floor of the mortuary were just piles of dead bodies with bullet wounds and everything all over. So I took courage. I started pushing this aside, putting that aside. At the point I screamed.
You screamed?
I still have seen my brother.
Okay.
And I ran out. He followed me. They also allowing Shegun to
do this. Okay.
He has took photographs. And I kept crying. He kept now condoling me and that kind of thing. So I said, okay. When I knew Shegun would have taken enough photographs, I went back and said, okay, Shegun, let's go. So we left. I said, I'll come back with our members of the family to come and see how we are going to take the dead body.
When you got your story.
Oh my. I just went, I was jubilating in the office and I told them we have, and they printed the photographs. The following week, African Concord magazine, we just had the photographs. Wow. From that moment on, the military could not deny that they killed people.
So it was, that's a similar story to what happened at Lekki Tollgate.
Yes, the Tollgate.
Very similar.
Okay.
But up till now,
yes. People are still doubting.
Maybe there was no courageous journalist to go check the morgues.
I think journalists now is much different. People are not willing to take risks. You know, journalists have become so materialistic. You know, we were fired to go into journalism by this idealism of wanting to save society. That me, myself, Owela Kemfa, our generation of FIFA students and students from other universities. We didn't go to journalism because we wanted to make money. Yes, Dele Momodu was a student in University of Ife, master's degree student.
Okay. When
he and Kule Ajibade wrote an article accusing Reepu of plagiarism.
Reepu.
He was I think it was the editor-in-chief of Newswatch. They pinned him down to a particular paragraph in an article he wrote, which was copied word for word from, I think, from Thomas Paine, you know, their writings. So I think because of their research, they now wrote a joint article that became a cause celebre. In fact, the committee was set up by the Lagos State Union of Journalism, which I was a member, to then try Reepu, who was our very much senior at that time. So when they did that, I was in Africa Concord, Bayo Onuga was there, Michel Obi was our editor-in-chief, and we were hunting hot-headed people all over to come and join us. That was when we now invited Kule Ajibade and Dele Momodu to come and join us.
Okay.
Dele Momodu was with us in African Concord briefly, and then Mike Awoyi first spotted him as not being too much of a political writer like us. Okay. And then took him to our weekend Concord. Okay. Where he now practiced it there.
Now, did you meet MK Abiola, the owner of...
Very well. I was recruited to African Concord by Bayo Onuga and Michel Obi from The Guardian.
Okay.
So I got to the place. I was fired again by my antecedents in Ife, in life and everything. And then it was about the time I got there that Apollo Runjomi joined us, Kule Ajibade joined us, Sheye Kehinde joined us, and we now changed the face of African Concord. A paper owned by a conservative businessman became a very radical paper. Yeah. So every time you see Ganifayemi, Fela, Bekora Zomkuti, Dr. Fashe, all of the Alawa Kabashorun, Justice Akeola Aguda, all of those big names in radicalism, I was going there. And then our sales increased and improved tremendously. And African Concord was just a sick baby within the organization. But we woke up the baby and it grew large and big. MKO had this attitude of admiration and contempt because we were attacking his friend, Babangida. Okay. And at the same time, wherever he goes, people praise him for what African Concord was doing. So I then suddenly decided to contest for the chairmanship of the Concord Chapel of Nigerian journalists, and I won the election. Okay. So that brought me close to MKO. And I started seeing him. In fact, my inauguration as chairman, MKO was present. Alawa Kabashorun was present. Justice Akeola Aguda was present. Femi Falan, all of the radicals, Ganifayemi sent Oyetibo to represent him. It was as if you were inaugurating something bigger than just a chapel. Chairman of a chapel. It was a big event. I still have the photographs and everything. So they were present, and we are from that moment. Whenever I go to see him, the moment he sights me, he said, "Oh, Jagun." Okay. That Jagun was his name for me. So we related. One day he gave me an appointment for 9 p.m. I got there around 8:30. He never showed up until 1 a.m. So I waited for him. After we discussed, he asked me I was going to get home that early morning, and I said I would go to Tony Street and get Kabu Kabu. There was no Bolt or Uber then. So he said, "Okay, all right, see me 10 a.m. tomorrow." So the following day I went back 10 a.m. I saw him, just gave me the key of a Peugeot car. Wow, that was my first car, and I've never driven before. I never had a driving license. I look at myself just like that. Just like that. I went inside the car. Should I go home and go and look for a driver to come and drive this thing away? Suppose he changes his mind. Or I come back here, they didn't allow me to enter. I just entered the car. I look at it. I took it and I got out of the house, got on the main road. I was like, I would press the breaker and managed to take the car to my Fumilayo Street house in Ketu. The following day, again, I now passed through Oronjoki, went through Oshodi, and got to work. That was how I started driving. But that was a generous act on his part. So then I started relating with him until 1992, when one afternoon, on a Sunday evening, we normally go to the office to do our editorial meeting to decide on what we are going to work on for the coming week. So we got there, and then attention was called to an interview granted by Babangida to Daily Times, where he said he's still shocked that the Nigerian economy has not collapsed.
Babangida said that?
Yes, okay. The president. He said, no, we need to look at this statement quite very well. We went and all read the paper, and then we tried to do a story around it. To call as Babangida giving up. That was the title of the cover page of the magazine. So guys were okay, you go and look at infrastructure, look at health management, look at economy, look at transportation. I was asked to look at human rights and corruption. Again, which goes with my your calling. So we brought in a lot of things, and then Apollo Ojudu, a stylish writer, brilliant guy, packaged everything, and then we packed him out. On Monday magazine, screaming as Babangida giving up. Then we put a quote of what he said at that Times interview on the front page. Then Tuesday morning, the army came. They stormed the entire place and ordered all of us to leave the premises. I mean, that was the premises containing bakery, other Abiola businesses and everything. I mean, we had National Concord, Sunday Concord, Weekend Concord, Amana, this and that kind of thing. and the Yoruba people and everything. They marched all of us out. And proud to that, people have been grumbling that look, these African people, they will put Abiola in trouble. They will put this company in trouble. Particularly that Babafemi Ojudu is too stubborn, it's too much of a radical, this and that. They've even gone to tell Abiola that.
Okay.
But Abiola was also enjoying what we're doing. Yeah. Yes. So the place I went after that was Ganifa Emis Chambers. I went to him, said, Chief, I want to go to court. These people do not have the right to seal up our office like this. And under the law and the whatever, I have the right to inform and be to inform and be informed. So Ganifa looked at me and said, Femco, he calls me Femco. Are you sure you want to do this? I said, I want to do it. Don't waste my time. I don't want to go to court now and you come back later that prayer has been put on you to go and withdraw the case. I said, trust me, Chief, I will never. I said, okay. Then call his staff to start preparing the case. The following day, Ganifa himself went to the Lagos High Court and filed the case. The entire people has carried it. Babafemi Ojudu has sued Babangida. So that evening, Abiola sent for me. I went to his house. On sighting him, he kept abusing. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Who is your father in this town? This and that. You are taking my friends to court. This and that. Do you know how to do? You have ruined my business. You have this and that. Say, calm down, sir. Calm down, Chief. Say, what? Calm down. Get out of my house. So I scampered out of his house. So I think there was prayer on him. He then wrote in longhand a letter of apology
to the president, to the president.
To the president. They now leaked the letter to Daily Times.
Okay.
The letter was put on the front page of Daily Times, and yet they still refused to open the business. So he even went to be MC at the 40th birthday anniversary of Colonel Akilu's wife, who was the chief security officer, the boss of the DMI, the chief security.
MKO was MC.
MKO became MC. They even sang just to impress them, and he went lobbying all of the generals. But that never happened. I think the condition they gave him was to please go and get those boys to apologize.
Okay. And you are not ready to apologize.
Of course, we never even thought of apology.
Okay.
Then it's then sent for us, myself and Bayo Nonoga. Said, young gentlemen, you have fantastic writers. The military. You have to. Manage them, this kind of thing. What they're asking for now is that you guys should apologize. Write 1 or 2 paragraphs each, saying that you are sorry for what you did, that kind of thing, and it will never happen again. Okay, sir. No argument. So we are going to write it. So on our way out of the Osinbajo, I'm not writing an apology. I would rather die than do an apology. But now President is not going to write an apology. We now got to our office. We wrote our letters of resignation. Then drove to Abiola's house. We didn't even ask to see him. Dropped it with the security in the house. Dropped it with the security. And the following day, all the journalists put it on their front page lead. Concord journalists refused to apologize, resigned from Abiola's business, that kind of thing. So when that happened, Sheikh Kende, Dapolom Yomi, Kunle Ajibade, who are our colleagues, also tendered their resignation. So that was our.
Was that the beginning of the end of African Concord?
Of course, yeah, that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the end, not just of African Concord. Yes, even of the entire organization itself, because again, that led to subsequent conflicts. There was the one called Mad Dog incident between Abiola, the DG, the son, had a conflict with the Air Force officers.
Okay.
And they beat him up and took him to the barracks and all that kind of. Abiola then called them Mad Dogs.
Okay.
That again angered the military. That happened, and then of course it now went to the election. The election was annulled, and all of the crises that then led to.
Now, could that be one of the reasons why the election was annulled?
No. There are quite other reasons for
personal reasons.
Personal reasons, because I later met Babangida.
Okay.
I later met Babangida, and he told me clearly that he never knew that Abiola would take it that seriously.
The annulment or the aspiration to become president?
Yes, that he was the one who actually sold the idea to him.
Okay.
And with the intent that, he had already, Yadra and others had tried, and he just said no. cancel the election or whatever it is, or postpone the election. Then Abiola, and then they had this SDP, NRC, and then got Tofa and Abiola to come and contest.
Okay.
Both were his friends and also business partner in one way or the other. He had an agreement with them that at a point he would push them aside. He never intended to leave. Okay. He was just playing games with the democratic process.
That was what he told you?
That was what he told us. That was what he told us. Then, suddenly, Abiola started going around the country, and the response became overwhelming. And he said a friend warned him that, look, you have made a mistake. With Tofa, you could just kick his ass and go and sit down. Abiola is not like that, though. Abiola may be a difficult person to just ask to go and sit down and sit down. And truly, Abiola got to town, and in the east, in the west, in the north, everywhere, he had overwhelming support. Because he was generous, he was a philanthropist, he was likable, he was ebullient, and all of that. So that was. He then refused to listen to. The Falcon could no longer listen to the Falconer, and that was it. So
it's not true that some general somewhere
insisted that Babangida should forget that. I sat down. We sat down overnight with him, myself, and Ononuga, when you were at the Kenya, and he was very sober. In fact, when we appeared, he looked at me and said, "Who is Ononuga? Who is Babafemi Ojudu? So you are this young? So you are the guys writing all of those things? How did you get to know?" Sometimes we hold meetings. The day after, we'll find the subjects of the meetings in your newspaper. How did you get to know all of these things? I was thinking of some old people, political scientists and others. So you are tiny boys like this. So we had a good time.
So do you think Babangida regrets what happened?
Oh, he regretted encouraging Abiola.
Regretted encouraging Abiola, or regrets annulling the election?
I didn't see that in him. I didn't see the regret of annulling the election. I didn't see that. I never saw that in him.
But he regrets tagging Abiola along in the...
Yeah, asking Abiola to, encouraging him to join the race.
Okay.
He regretted that. I mean, he clearly expressed that at that time. But he told us that time that he was not out for interview. That he just wanted to know our mind. And he said, look, there are two incidents in his presidency that gave him sleepless nights.
Okay.
Our phenomenon as journalists, as a media house, and the Okaku.
Gideon Okaku
that happened in 1990. Okay. So those two incidents, almost make him lose his mind.
Okay.
That in terms of control of information, he lost control. How we get our news, how we get to know what they discuss, and how we get to even survive with discouragement deployed after us, that baffles him till that time.
Were you targets of assassination?
Oh, several times. Okay. Several times. I mean, it's. I can tell you, between 1993 and 1998, I was arrested and locked up for about 15 times.
15?
15 times, yes.
Wow.
A day, 2 days, a week, 1 week, 2 weeks, then until 8 months plus in a solitary confinement at the Inter Center in Lagos. Yeah.
Now, after leaving African Concord, which other paper did you?
Then, in 1992, they sealed up that place. We resigned.
Okay.
Bayo Ononuga said he was done with Nigeria. He will relocate abroad. And I said I was done with journalism, but I don't even know what to do. But the day after I resigned, a friend of mine, Debo Adeleke, just surfaced in my house at K2 and said, Femi, I have read what you have done. He was my friend and schoolmate in Ife, another radical too, who after we left school, worked in Gadiva and Miss Chambers. Now went into fish business.
Okay.
Said I read what you have done, and I know that you must have taken that decision without even considering where your next meal will come from.
Yeah.
Said, what do you want me to do for? I said, no, I don't know what you could do for me. So okay, how much do you pay for as rent monthly? I told him. He then brought out his checkbook and wrote the amount for 6 months rent for me. He said, go and pay. Then later let us meet and see what you can do to survive. So I later went to him and said, Femi, let's come and join me, let's be selling fish.
Okay.
So I joined him. I went looking for a code room in Ibadan, Akure, Ado-Ekiti here, and some parts of Lagos. I tried to do the fish business, but it was not my calling. I'll come back home with piles of notes, dirty, smelling with fish and everything. And then again, I quickly do trust people. There was this time I went to Akure. The code room I leased was having issues. And I now try to look for somebody who has a better code room. And I went to this fellow in Akure, and as I entered the office, I saw the Lord is your Savior, Jesus saves, these and all those posters all over the world. I said, yes, I've seen the man I'm looking for. And I told him, I can supply you a truck of fish on a weekly basis. Then I'll give you our account number. When you sell, you pay the money, take your profit and pay the money inside. He was happy, and I was happy too. So I went back to Lagos, arranged a truck of fish and brought it to Akure. So I supplied it. We signed all the documents that we needed to sign. First day after, no money in the account. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, there was no money. He didn't pay. So I ran to Akure. He said, oh, the women, you know the way they behave, they will take the fish away, they've not paid. I said no. But I had a code room here, and I was, every day in the evening, the women take the fish in the morning. In the evening, they come and return your payment. So that was what we did all through. He never paid. So I went back to, they both just laughed and said, Femi, I knew that you were going to run into trouble. I don't mind. It's part of the training. Don't worry, you know. But I think you should go back to what you know how to do. Okay. Said, Femi, go and think up of a publication that you could do. I'll be willing to help you. So that was how I now went to Bayo. I said, Bayo, it's not possible for us to start our own papers.
Bayo
Nonuga, who's now the spokesperson for Tinubu. Okay. So that was how we started meeting, and then we invited Dakwalo Yomi, Kule Ajibade Shekende, who had left after they resigned. They went to join African Guardian. Okay. You know, I know that there was no newspaper that would touch me because of my trouble. And Bayo Nonuga ought to not get a job locally. So those ones they started meeting with us on this project.
Is it the same Guardian newspaper?
This is Guardian newspaper, yes.
Okay, but it used to be African Guardian, right?
No. There's a Guardian paper, a daily. Okay. There's Guardian Express, an afternoon. There's African Guardian, a weekly magazine.
Just like Tell and African.
And then there was a Lagos Live, which was like Concord Weekend, a Weekend Concord rather. Okay. So we started meeting, and that was how we started our own, the news magazine.
The news
magazine. Okay. So we raised money, and then, we started at the news magazine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you meet Delegiwa?
Tangentially, not close acquaintance, no. Okay. Yeah, maybe at public function or press conference or whatever, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now, the news magazine is no longer in circulation.
It's still on as online publication, yes. Still doing well online.
Are you still write for the...
Yes, I still do. Yeah.
Okay. Now, at what point did you meet President Tinubu?
Yes. we were looking for money. A friend of ours, a journalist, Chris Mama, who used to be with us in Concord. He was news editor in National Concord. From there, he moved to the Punch to become editor of Punch. Even before becoming news editor in Concord, he was correspondent in the Villa. But he was former president of National Association of Nigerian Students. Okay. He was also firebrand like us. So all the things that he was not supposed to see in the Villa at the Dodan Barracks, he kept seeing and writing about. So Babangida just called the publisher that they should withdraw him or he will get killed. That was how they withdrew him to the office. No. I mean, Kokon, that was how they withdrew him to the office. And then from there again, he now left and joined Punch, where he became an editor. So he had become, I don't know how, close to Bola Tinubu. There was this Primrose movement, political movement. Yomi Edu, Bola Tinubu, Sarumi and co. They were already formed a political group that were battling Jakande in Lagos at that time. So he was close to them. And he invited us and said, look, there is this guy who admires us and who would like to invest in our venture. So that was how he scheduled the meeting between us and Bola Tinubu. Okay. So that was how Bola Tinubu put, I think, about 50,000 naira. 250? Yeah, his first investment.
That was when? What year?
That was 1993. 93? Early 1993.
Was Tinubu very close to Abiola then?
At that time, I'm not too sure. At that time, 1992, I think he had contested and become a senator. A senator, okay. Yes, and, Babangida was yet to send them packing at that time. So when he dropped the money, at that time. So his initial investment was 250,000. Then he gave us 25,000. I think Beko invested Fela's money too. I think 250,000 naira.
Fela's money
in the project at that time, because the check he gave to us was Kalakuta Republic check at that time. So then there was the person, engineer Prince Yemisi Shilom, the art collector, who I met in 1989.
Okay.
I was a reporter. I was in Concord reporting then, and he came to the office one day and said he was looking for a journalist who could help him with a case. I said, what was the case? He said some Air Force officers rented his house somewhere in Lagos, and they have refused to pay rents, and they are refusing to leave, and I have sued them to court. He believes that if he has a reporter who can report the thing, their bosses will see it, and then intervene on his behalf. So I said, oh, why not? And give me the date at the court, I'll come. So I went there, I reported it. So a week after I came back, he said, that thing has worked. That those guys have paid him and they've ordered them out of his house. And then came with an envelope, which I didn't open. Said, this is my gift to you. And I said, no, I'm not taking this. I vowed, since I joined this church, I will not take a bribe or brand envelope from anybody. He was angry. And I said, no, I did my job. I said, okay, that's good, thank you. He left. So on seeing the news that we have resigned, he then sent for me. I said, well, I have seen what you have done. I admire your courage and forthrightness. That whatever it is you want to go to next, let us know. So when we now were looking for money to start this, I went to him. He didn't even look at the business plan that I took to him. He just brought out his check and wrote a check of 500,000 naira.
Okay.
For me. And that has been my reference point to people, young people who want to help and collect gratification, instant gratification. It doesn't help most of the time. I knew at that time the kind of bribe journalists take, 5 naira, 10 naira in an envelope. It wasn't more than that. Imagine if I had taken that 5 or 10 naira that day. There's no way. 500,000 was, we needed at that time 2.5 million to start the business.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was somebody who gave us 500,000 naira. And we have remained friends ever since then. He has come to this house. I go to his house in Lagos. Go to his house in Abeokuta. In fact, he's on the board of Olowe Art Foundation Trustees, which I'm chairman now.
Okay.
So that was how we gathered money here and there to start the business. Yeah.
So you've remained friends with Chief Tinubu ever since 1992?
Yes, from that moment on, we became very good friends, allies, and compatriots. Yeah.
But recently, you seem to have because you said that if Tinubu wins the election, you're going to retire to your farm.
Yes.
Actually, this is not a farm anyway.
Well, this is a farm. We saw the farm. I'll show you, to show you that I have a fish pond.
Did Professor Yemi Osinbajo come between?
No. I actually got to know Prof before Tinubu.
Oh.
I got to know Prof before Tinubu. Prof was the one that registered the news for us as a company.
Okay.
He was the secretary of our company. And pro bono, without taking any money from us.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So I've come to know him as a brilliant young man. I knew him when he was personal assistant to the late Attorney General of Nigeria, Babangida. That's a Prince
Bolaji Bola.
Bolaji Bola, yes, and that kind of thing. So both of them I know closely. I know the qualities they bring to public life. So yeah.
All right. So let me fast forward a bit, then yes, I'll go back. So 4 years ago, no, was it 4 years ago, 3 years ago? I can't remember.
Yes.
You spearheaded a campaign.
Yes.
For Professor Yemi Osinbajo to become president.
Yes.
And during the nights of the manifesto nights, campaign nights, everything. Senator Bola Tinubu, now President Bola Tinubu, carried the day.
Yeah, at the primary. Yeah.
And ever since you retired to your farm.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, you see, I work with Osinbajo. Honestly, after I left the Senate, I was perhaps the first person in the Senate who will not contest again.
Why didn't you contest?
2 years into that game, I told myself I was not going to contest. I was tired of. One, I went into Senate believing that I could collaborate to change the system or to effect some, some change, But I just found out that the pressure to steal, the pressure to make money, the pressure to give money to people was too much for me, and it was breaking me down. 2 years into being in the Senate, I did all kinds of things. I tried to award scholarships. I did essay competition, publicize and select the best, everything. I empowered 570 women who are indigent and traders and all of those things. I tried to train women to learn how to do business, but I just felt that they just want shabamu kind of thing, All night I would pick calls. My husband is sick. He said I should call you. I can't pay school fees. My roof is leaking. I want to come and check. We need transformer.
I just gave birth to it.
All of that. It takes energy away from you, from doing the job for which the Constitution, for which you were elected, making laws, carrying out oversight function, and all of that. And I could see colleagues looking for contracts everywhere and looking for money.
Despite making a lot of money from the
That money, I'm telling you, it's not enough, anything. Because the crowd that gathers around you, at home when you go visiting, in Abuja where you are, people calling. I mean, you will see our PAs queuing early in the morning. Those days there was no transfer, electronic transfer, to go and send money to people everywhere. What now, made me change my mind about this thing was that at the point that when I was 2 years in it, I just come to the end. I've missed road. Maybe I should have stayed in my journalism profession. Whenever I'm going to work in the morning, the National Assembly, I feel very sad. I had content from virtually everybody who were in the place because I know the deals they were doing. I had content and I was never happy there. And there was this particular day, a king here told me that his daughter was getting married. And I called one of my aides there, who's now a chief in this town, to go and get the biggest of a cow in town to take to the king. Then I added, I think, 100,000 naira cash. So they went to deliver it. So I woke up at about 5 a.m. I put a call. Overnight, I had received calls, people making demands, some small boys calling to abuse me, all those kind of. Why did I bring myself to this mess? And I called the king, sir. Sherry, Malu, I told you only Mori. The kitchen cutting as well. I got the send to me. Honestly, I do not know where that came from. Tears started coming out from my eyes. Right at the foot of my bed. At that point, my young daughter, who was 12, just walked in. As she walked in, first thing in the morning that was in Lagos, to come and say, good morning, Daddy. And she saw me crying. I said, Daddy, what is the problem? What is the problem? I said, look, this job is killing me. Hey, the job is killing me. Why don't you resign? Why don't you leave the job? So that moment I said, no, I'm not going back to the Senate. So when the term ended, I said, I wanted to leave Nigeria and go and live in Kenya. I'd learned that every day a cargo plane land in Nigeria with roses, the flower in Lagos, and then people share it and take it to supermarkets and other places across Nigeria. So I said, I could be part of that business. I also have a friend in Kenya who had given me ideas about how to farm roses and all those kind of things. Some are farming a pear that they take to Europe and all of that. So I went on an exploratory trip to Kenya, and how much it would take to rent an apartment and to lease the land to do business. So I came back, and that was how I came here, and I got a call from Mr. Tinubu.
Mr.
Tinubu, where are you, Senator? I said, I'm in Ekiti. I said, why are you doing that? I just go back from Kenya. I said, he said, your brother, that's
President Tinubu.
And they will be going to Ile-Ife for the coronation of Oni of Ife. I would love that you are accompanying him to the place. Okay. I said, I will have to quickly move early in the morning and join you. And I drove with a friend of mine. We drove to Osogbo. Shortly after I arrived, Tinubu landed in an helicopter in the government house. So I jobbed himself and Ralph Adegoya in the bus. We drove to Osogbo. As I landed in the hall, the VP, Osinbajo, had arrived before us. he just kept beckoning on me. I went to see him on the IT. I said, why? The president said we should appoint you special advisor on political matters. I said, I've been away in Kenya. And then I said, okay, please see me on Monday in Abuja. So I flew to Abuja, and I sat down with me, and he now told me about this appointments and all that. I said, okay, you should give me some time. Let me make 1 or 2 calls. So I called Baba Kande, Shibisi Akande, and I told him that I've been offered this job, and that if there's any reason they think I should not take it, I will not go against their wish. He said, no, there's no reason. Then I tried reaching Tinubu, I couldn't. I got the wife, said, okay, that they will locate him and let him. So he now called me himself. I said, Femi, Remilo, Nwami, Munibeni, Nipa, Shetani Kimagba Labuja, if to buy Junu and Peking back, to buy the fair. Ah, only Loba. Where my Jakudangu Buanon. That was how I took up the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, point one as a president vice president.
Yeah, when I was appointed,
because we were appointed for the president.
Yeah, he appointed, I think, about 6 of us as special advisor.
Okay.
Interestingly, I mean that, and curiously, he just dispatched us to work with the vice president.
All of you?
All of us, except the media.
Okay.
Man, all of us were the economic advisor, advisor, office of the vice president. So that was how I started working on a daily basis with the vice president. There was no other special advisor on political matters.
Okay, so nobody was working for President Buhari?
No, directly. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I have something to share with him, I'll share it with the vice president.
Vice president. Yeah. So my question now is, did Professor Yemi Osinbajo betray Buhari?
When I hear of betrayal, before Osinbajo joined the Tinubu government in Lagos, he was already a professor. Not just another professor, a renowned professor. He was best in his elementary school, best in secondary school, best in university, best in his master's degree class. Before he was 40, he was a professor of law. So he had a life. It took convincing by myself and Bayo Onanuga to get him to accept an offer to become Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos.
Okay.
And he was a top show in the cabinet as well. It was because of his performance, of his pedigree, and of his being Christian that made Buhari accept him as his running mate. So if after having been running mate, seeing the entire thing in the cabinet, put the economic on the right path when Buhari was away, and solved quite a lot of problems, during those 80 years, and he then offered himself to serve more. You cannot see that as a betrayal, because again, there was no time. He was called to say, I'm interested, I want to run for this thing.
Okay.
Yes.
He never said he was interested.
No, I mean Tinubu.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He never called you to say, I'm interested in this thing.
Okay.
Go and drop your ambition. No,
okay.
He never. In fact, there are even other things I will not want to reveal now, which I'm putting into my autobiography. What happened between us, the kind of discussions we had.
But did Professor Osinbajo consult with President Tinubu?
Yeah, when he wanted to come, of course he went to see him to say I wanted to run. And he never said don't run.
He gave him his blessings?
Oh, of course, he never said if you don't run.
So at what point did things change?
Well, what will I say? What point will I say the things change? I mean, when you are contesting for power,
As at the time you assembled journalists, of which I was one of,
yes,
was President Tinubu in the game then?
I think I had already jumped in the frame. But let me tell you this clearly. I want to say this clearly. I don't want to go into the details of this now, which I will do that explicitly later. Give dates, give instances, give reasons, and everything.
Okay.
Give some of the things I've seen that made me decide on, made the decision that I made, and forgo a friendship and relationship that has spanned several years and all of that. I will do that later, but it's not something I want to do now. But again, my thought was about what, I've worked with Osinbajo, day and night. We are together, sometimes 3 a.m., 4 a.m. we are in the office. 8 a.m. we are back at the airport flying to Niger, Maiduguri or Kaduna. I've seen the stuff it was made up. I didn't want to look at the leadership of Nigeria from the prism of friendship. It's like, okay, my father is my father. And okay, if he wants to become president of Nigeria, and I think he's not qualified, or I think that somebody else will govern Nigeria better than me, you don't have to say because it's my father, I have to compulsively support him. Simple. That's simple analogy. If I'm able to convince my father, step down for somebody else who can do this job, all well and good. If I'm not able to support him, then maybe I would then go and do what my conscience said dictates.
So is your relationship with President Tinubu at the moment strained?
Yes, somehow. But again, I mean, there will be life after office and we'll be back as friends.
You'll be back as friends?
Yes, I mean, right now my daughter is working with him. I mean, on his own, on her own merit, she's a Milocon,
Okay.
I'm not a Milocon.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And what about the relationship between Prof and the president?
We had a very good relationship.
After the entire...
Not just between me and him. My wife and his wife were very close.
You're referring to Tinubu now, right? You're referring to Tinubu?
That's what I'm saying. I said we're close. Myself and Tinubu were close.
Okay.
And my wife and his wife too were very close.
Okay.
The wife was also close to my daughter, not the one in government now.
Okay.
My youngest daughter. We had very nice relationship. And when both of us are in the Senate, I were very close, and I would advise him, do this, don't do this, that kind of thing. I'll go to his house, I will eat in Abuja. She will come to. She was there, In fact, she commissioned the building out there that I've given to the First Lady of Ekiti.
Okay.
For Adira. When you go there, you will see the inscription on the wall, that kind of. Okay. Tinubu came for my mother's burial in year 2002. Here, he was with me here for my mother's burial. And I've been there for him on so many occasions, which I would not want to relive now. But all of that will come out in my autobiography.
All right. But I still should ask just a few more questions.
Right.
What about the relationship between Prof and the president?
I wouldn't know now. I knew then that he held him in high regards. Whenever Tinubu comes to Abuja, he would be the first person to go and say hello to me. Never, ever, at any time, wait for Tinubu to come and see him as vice president. Okay. Whenever he travels to Lagos, he will always take time to go and see Tinubu in Lagos. And he held him in high regards as a former boss. Yeah.
Is Professor Osinbajo likely to come back?
I wouldn't know what his plan for the future is. I've never sat down to discuss that with him.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
but you still believe that he is the best that we have not had still?
Certainly. And I mean it with all sense of responsibility.
Are you likely to prevail on him too?
I know this. Again, this idea of prevailing. No, it is what he wants. If he tomorrow decide that he's tired about public office, he wants to enjoy his retirement, fine. If he says he wants to still go ahead, fine. I will assess the situation and decide whether to go with him. If somebody younger had come up, who I also find maybe better, could be better than him, I will tell him I will go to this place or what. But the situation is left to him to do. But let me say this. And I'm not a frivolous person. And I'm not given to small talks. I've seen Osinbajo close up, very, very close up. I've seen as much as I could of his heart, and his passion for Nigeria. And I saw that if you give that kind of man a chance, his meticulousness, his creativity in governance, and his sincerity and his honesty. When I joined, he called a meeting of all his staff and said, look, how many of you are here? Said, so number of people. He said, out of 200 million of Nigerians, it should just be enough for you to be given this opportunity than looking for business. That none of you should ever think of doing business while you are working in this place with me. And that was what happened. There was a Christmas, I was asked to come to the office of the vice president for gift, and they gave me an envelope containing 10,000 naira. And I went to him and I said, how could you ask them to come and give me 10,000 naira for Christmas? He said, were you giving? I said, no. He said, it's what was left this month from the 3.8 million naira running expenses we do take. monthly that I asked them to give to, I didn't know that you were going to give. How can they give you 10,000? What will you do with it? So we laughed it off. I'm serious. It was that. Look, again, look at it. Have you ever had anybody from the government, from the vice president office, have been pulled in for corruption?
Not
since this. If they had something, by now maybe many of us would have been in jail. But I received a salary less than 800,000. I had a driver, I had a PA, I had a security guard, I had a secretary, and I was paying them
from that 800.
From that 800. I had no official car. I had no official house. The little things I've had, a land here, something here, in the course of my professional career, I kept selling them to survive. I never had an official car for 8 years.
So were you fulfilled? Were you fulfilled with the job?
Oh, sure. Because we served with tenacity, with seriousness. We served.
But some other people were making.
I saw that people were doing this around us.
So why didn't you make deals?
Because I was not in government to do this. My conscience would not allow me to do this. Just as my conscience as a journalist would not allow me to take brown envelope.
But no one is a saint. No one is a saint.
I'm not a saint, but I'm saying that early in life I made up my mind that I will live within my means and I will not take what does not belong to me. My father told me early in life that, look, anybody, who takes what belongs to the public will be fined by God. I said, how? He says either you use the money to treat one kind of illness, or the children for which you have spent the money will become drug addicts and all those kind of things. And I've seen a few cases that tallies with my dad's observation. Because what does it pay you that money is meant to equip an hospital where patients will be treated, and then you go and steal the money and then think you are enjoying? There is what is called karma now. So that was the life we lived. There are people who will come with all kinds of propositions when we were there, and the VP will just say, no, I'm not part of this, I won't be part of that.
Now, do you agree that the current constitution we are using, the 1999 constitution, is very faulty?
Honestly, I keep saying it's not about constitution. There is no perfect constitution in the world. Bring any constitution. For as long as Nigerians remain who they are, they will continue to be rigmaroling, perambulating, as Fela will call it. It is we who are the problems.
Not the constitution.
Britain has unwritten constitution, for God's sake, and the society is being managed. Poor people are being provided council homes. NHS, was it NHS or something? Health service is being provided for poor people. Education is almost free for the citizens of the place. They had no written constitution. What they have is an unwritten constitution. So when people talk about constitution, they are just begging the question. It's not. Let God draft a constitution for us, or let's use the commandments as our constitution. If you still put a criminal at the top of our affair, you will behave like a criminal. It is we, the leaders, that are the problems. I don't think people also blame followership. It's not the followership. If Nigerians see a leader who is genuine today, who is committed, who is honest, who is dedicated, who can sacrifice, they will kill after him.
But before we blame leadership, we should blame followership. Because
the election,
No, not the election.
Yeah, what is it?
Leaders are drawn from the pool of followers.
Honestly, people have said that too. Again, what of Abiola as a leader in the early 60s? Abiola emerged as leader as premier of the Western region. It was, they struggled to become leaders, and they had ideas of what they are going to do with their country. Just like Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore also had ideas. And he went around and selected people of like mind. And they come with agenda to improve the life of the people. But for that effort at that time, many of us will probably be on the farm today. Just within a short period of time, tweaked education, provided infrastructure, gave free health, farm settlements were built, and everything was going well with us until politics set in and dabaru everything. Honestly, it's about leadership, and these were the things I saw in Osinbajo. I saw a return of an Abiola spirit. Let me give you an example. There was a point in the government when our oil exports dropped from 2.5 million barrels per day to 450,000, that dragged us into a recession, and everybody was worried. Pipeline was being busted and bombed in the Niger Delta. People came with all kinds of ideas. Let's get more military men to the place. Let's buy more bombs and bomb them to submission. Some are saying let's pump billions of naira to their leaders to persuade the youths from all of these things. Then Osinbajo went to the president and said that all of these things being suggested, he doesn't think is the way out. But first of all, we don't even understand and know what exactly is the problem these people are confronted that is making them the way they behave. But sir, I want to ask for your permission to let me go there and find out. The president said, find out. If you go there, you'll be the first person, the first VP in history that will be kidnapped. But the VP insisted that, albeit if you get there and be kidnapped. And he came back, having gotten the president approval. Gentlemen, let's drop a plan to go on a tour of Niger Delta, to go and listen to people in Niger Delta. Our first port of call was Baramatu. There is no road leading to Baramatu. We either drop in using an helicopter or going by boat. So we went by helicopter. Our first port of call was the palace of the king. They greeted us, welcomed us, everybody, all the important people from that place, where Tompolo came from, gathered in the palace, and we sat down. Prayer was said, and the king said, well, when we have visitors here, the first thing we do is we give them gifts of money. So I'm putting down 1 million naira. Now I'm calling on all of you who are here to wedge it, that is to drop your own. By the time they started dropping money, there was already 20 million naira on the table. Then we take, drinks of all types, and so the VP said I should, do a thank you speech, and which I did. And then the king said, well, we have another gift for you, because you are the only person of this caliber who had ever visited us. That I will even give you a maiden that you take away as a wife. The VP laughed and said, no, I don't have the courage to take another woman to my wife, but maybe the special advisor can have that. We just joked over it. So he now asked them, Your Royal Highness, what exactly do you want? What can we do for this community to stop this crisis? Our country is collapsing. Our economy is in recession. Then let me also tell you, Your Royal Highness, look, time is running out for crude oil. In Japan, in some parts of Europe and Asia, they are having now more charging points than fuel stations. Okay. Very soon, this oil buried in your soil will not have value again. Why don't you seize this opportunity now to let us help you use it to develop your place? So tell me, what are your challenges? The man kept quiet for his answer. Your Excellency, we have been clamoring for a university in this community. We have been clamoring for a marine institute in this society. Then tell your government to stop bombing the local efforts our boys are making to refine crude for our generators. The VP said, is that all, Your Royal Highness? Said, that's all. Okay. Without even consulting the president, we are going to bring Marine Institute here. We are going to give you a university. Then I have a noble idea for this your boys who are doing bush refinery. Let them go and form themselves into cooperatives. Then we'll bring in investors who will join them to start a modular refinery. That kind of thing. They all went agog. They clapped and clapped and clapped, praising him. The other now said, no, this meeting cannot end there. You must repeat these things at the village square. They now took us to the village square where people gathered. And the king said he should repeat all of those commitments he has made. So with our money and our drinks, we departed for Abuja. So the following day, the VP went to the president and said, sir, I'm back home from Baramatu. This is the money. Who gave you money? Said the community and the king. They gave you money. The people that they said that you go and look for money to give. Said, did I tell you that we need to engage? He then gave another. You must go to all towns and villages in Niger Delta. That was how we took a tour, from Calabar to Akwa Ibom to Cross River to Edo State. We went everywhere, engaging people, and solved all. Some problems are immediate. Young people who are looking for a job, who could not get a job, and we started solving the problem. They quickly put up a committee to get the university to start, the Marine Institute to start, and then a committee to work on the modular refinery and all of that. Honestly, till we left government, there was no single incident of sabotage of pipeline again. So, and issue of providing electricity for the market in Kano, providing electricity for the market in Aba, and solving all these problems, it was busy tackling them. When the president was abroad, foreign exchange issue, he just came in and took some measures and bring it down, So these are the things I said, look, this man knows the terrain. He's not somebody, he's somebody who will come into government as president and, and start running.
Was Buhari supportive?
Again, I will just shortly say that he made us believe that he was supportive. But I think there was some deception there. Yeah, I will tell you that. But again, I have details of what happened. I have details. I have the treasuries and all those kind of things. I mean, in fact, a former head of state called me and said, don't believe that kind of support, that he doesn't believe that the man will support your boss. Now,
whose idea was trader money? Whose idea was trader money?
It was Osinbajo, trader money, empower, and all of that. He just look at it and say, look, we have to address this issue of poverty. And he came up and wrote a program, and wrote that program, and then went to the president. The president didn't like it. It was not going to. Then suddenly one day the president grudgingly gave him the approval to go and do it. One day the president now called you and said, I never supported this your program, but I woke up this morning, listened to BBC, I had two young men from a remote part of the north saying that they didn't know anybody anywhere. They have never been to Abuja before. They don't have any relation, but they just got this empowered job just by applying. That means there is something good that you are doing. Go and expand it. And that was how. Okay. But the VP made sure something happened, and he called us and told us, I will not turn my office into a contract awarding or money distributing anything. We are going to draw up the policy here, provide all of the details here, go through the processes. Payment and contract award will go to the Ministry of Budget. And that was what saved all of us. So not a dime came to our office. So all of the operational processes were done in the Vice President's office. And then the contracts and the money thing then went to the Budget Ministry.
All right, before
that afforded him the opportunity of going everywhere. And I went everywhere with him. I visited everywhere with him, and he was well loved, well received. The professor who had been taught not to have the ability to gravitate towards the people now became someone who will hug the woman selling pomo in a market in Ibadan, the woman selling kunu in Kano, the woman selling kilishis somewhere else. He became very popular, and that became a worry to a lot of people within the government and outside the government. Yes.
Now before I move,
and that was the beginning of the conspiracy.
Okay. So
the first thing they did was to go and persuade the president to say, look, let us institutionalize this thing. No, it's a good policy. It's affecting a lot of people, touching lives and all that. But it's not something we should leave in the office of the vice president. Let's create a ministry for it. And then they suggested to the president somebody he could not resist. A lady who was a friend to the late daughter of the president, and then that was how they created the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and put the lady there and took the mat and took everything away. Somehow they then again convinced him that the economic management team, which he supervises, that meets every Monday, is taken away from him.
Now, was Abacha more powerful than the vice president?
Oh, certainly. Certainly, very, very. I have instances, I have anecdotes on this that I'll put in mind. The kind of things he did, even the Germany that he went to, where he then had a COVID. He was not supposed to go. I think it was the VP that the president had to go, but he went. Unfortunately,
he died. All right. Before I move into other areas like entertainment and arts, my last question, yes. I'm going to repeat and re-echo. Is it late for us to have a Professor Osinbajo as president in Nigeria? Is it already too late?
No, it's still within the age range of somebody who can offer himself to serve.
But now after
that decision is left to
after him. President Tinubu, we are likely to go back north.
Honestly, I'm not in support of this north, south, west, east.
But that is what we have as a practical reality.
I think that's part of the problem we're having now. Let us look our best. Look, the president is a Yoruba man now. He's my friend, my leader. That does not stop me from buying fuel at 1,000 naira in Ado-Ekiti per liter. I mean, it doesn't stop me from buying a tuber of yam at 6,000 naira. So if somebody comes from the north and is able to give me a cheaper petroleum price, and I have to food on my table, and things are going better for me, you don't eat that thing. Obasanjo was president. How did they affect the life of Yoruba people? Murtala was from Kano. Everybody felt his impact when he was president of Nigeria, of state of Nigeria. So this idea of president to come from somewhere, is for me, it's reactionary. It's reactionary. Let's look for our best wherever. Let him come from Okigbo, or whatever, or Ikwere or whatever, or come from Kauranamoda. For as long as he has, the capacity, the purposefulness, to do the job. I do not care. I do not care. It should not be that look, I'm from Ado-Ekiti here, and I know that I have people from Igbo land who love me more than my own kit and kin, Ado-Ekiti here. I have Hausa friends who could die for me. I have friends from the north who are benefited from, who are more loyal and honest with me than people from this town. So why should I relate with people based on ethnicity or the fact that our local? No.
And now to entertainment and arts now.
Yes.
What's your relationship with King Sunny Ade?
Interesting, very interesting. That takes me back to 1977. Again, my dad loves education so much, and he wanted the best for me. His pride was that he didn't want anything from life than, Gani, which is my Muslim name, must be successful. And the success is not about money, because my grandfather once called me when I said, wow, Bata Bie, lọ́jọ́ kẹjọ tá a fẹ́ sọ lórúkọ, èmi mo sọ ẹni Gani ò kì í ṣolówó, ó dẹ̀ ní dolówó, bẹ̀ wá jẹ́ ọlọ́rọ̀. At that time I was already in the university. I said, what's the difference between olówó and ọlọ́rọ̀? And he said, ọlọ́rọ̀ is somebody who never wants, but he was contented and self-satisfied. Okay. He said, go and check the meaning of Gani in Arabic. That is what it is. So my dad wanted me to succeed, not success as in terms of how much billions I have in my account, but success in terms of accomplishments. Okay. Yeah. So in 1977, I was in school. He came in with a copy of Daily Sketch newspaper. There was a half-page advertisement from Ghanaian newspapers, and that advertisement read that King Sunny Ade and Babafemi in collaboration are giving out 20 scholarships to indigent students of secondary schools in Ondo State. Then Ondo and Ekiti were still one state. So my dad came here and said, look, go and apply for this thing. It may just assist me in paying your school fees. At that time, tuition fee for 1 year, secondary school was 100 naira. So I applied, like joke. I just was in school. A letter came inviting me to Akure to write an exam for the scholarship. And that Ghanaian will personally conduct the examination. I went there. There was a small Akure town hall then. I don't know whether it still exists now. They gave us papers to write with and gave us the question.
Like how many of you?
We were about 60.
Okay.
That came. Babafemi sat down with his aides and marked it right there and then shortlisted us. And I think he reduced the number from about 60 to 40.
Okay.
And then there and then again interviewed us.
Oral
Interview. Yeah. And announced the results there. That's come of it. So I came back to Ado-Ekiti late in the night. My dad followed me.
But the money was King Sunny's money?
Both of them.
Okay.
Both of them. Gani family actually had done that every year.
Oh, okay.
I think he invited Sunny Ade now to come and collaborate with him on that. So that was, apart from my listening to his music, that was the first time the name and attributes of Sunny Ade were registered in my mind. And every time I remember that period, my dad could still have seen me through school, but he made it easier.
Okay.
And my dad could now again look for the money for my younger ones.
The 100 naira was big.
100 naira was a tuition fee for 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. I guess that would be about 100,000 now. You know, if we have to look at, if not 1 million naira. You know, so that was it. So for Ganifa, I mean, I think I'd given enough. Wherever I was detained, I was always going to look for him, risking my life and everything and all that. So, but for Sunny Ade, I never had the opportunity. So when he was 60 years old, I went looking for him. And I told him the story. He had forgotten. He didn't even remember anymore. You were one of them. This and that. I said, yes. He said, King, relax. You are going to be 60 at so time. Yes. I will celebrate your birthday for you. I will look for the money. So I then went out, raised 25 million naira. When I outlined the programs I was going to do. One, I was going to exhibit all his memorabilia, his instruments, his equipment, his album sleeves, his regalia, you know, those costumes he wear on stage and all of those things.
And the album
sleeves.
Album sleeves.
Yes.
That the clothes he wore.
He wore.
So he still.
He kept them meticulously.
Wow.
He kept them. Some of them.
As it's a kilo form of them.
Yes, but some of them were getting brittle when we managed them, and displayed them at the biggest hall in Eco Hotel. Okay. You know, I got Tunde Olade to be the curator. Curated it and it ran for 1 week in that hall. It was, people came from all over coming to look at it. Then, of course, I then organized, wrote to Obasanjo, went to visit Obasanjo at the villa at that time, organized a service at Vining, organized an encounter with young people at LTV 8, and then staged a finale, an Owambe party in an hotel around Maryland. The hotel has been demolished now, and I think it's hosting a fuel station. You know, so that was the way to give back to KSA. And I was able to see him up close, his talents. And I then also commissioned a book to be written on him. Okay. I got my staff quickly, we arranged, drew up a table of content. I assigned chapters to my staff to write. And I sent a production. Is
it the same book, My Life, My Music?
I'll give you a copy before you leave. I can't even remember now. So I got 2 guys who are into production to go to South Africa to go and print the book. And they brought it back home, and we also launched it here. Okay. So that's, and he was very grateful. Okay. So wherever he sees me, he just sees me at an occasion, starts. You know. Recently, I saw a video where, you know, I don't know whether it was my daughter who went to introduce herself to him or whatever. Somebody told him that that's what we do that, and he kept singing and all those kind of things. Yes.
Okay, so after Fela's death,
yes,
you didn't stop with Fela.
No, I didn't. I mean, it's I mean a compulsive Fela person. Fela, there's what we call philosophy. You know, I am a follower of that. I love his music. There's no day I don't play his music. You know, and I didn't stop at that. When he died, I kept thinking of what could be done to immortalize him. We kept writing about him and what he meant to our society. Kept reading whatever was published, about him, either locally or internationally. Then I got close to Femi Osunla. We used to call him Femi Photo. Okay. Femi Osunla joined Fela in 1967 as a photographer, and he went with him all over the world.
So he had his permanent photographer.
There was nowhere Femi went then without carrying his camera and following Fela. So, of course, when Fela died, Femi had nothing doing again. I think He briefly joined the Egypt 80 band, and then with Cheung as the band leader and whatever. No, as whatever. Babani was the band leader. But you know, Femi from time to time comes to my office to seek assistance one way or the other. You know, we quarrel. I'll say, look, don't come back again. After I give you this money, he will abuse me. Who are you? I'm your brother now, and I senior you, and whenever he's coming, they will come. Your friend is coming again, because he will turn the entire office upside down whenever he comes in. At that time, we're probably looking for money to do one thing or the other. So one day he came, and having created all kinds of frills in my office, and I started and I said, "But you have a last photograph. Where are the negatives of the photographs you shot?" He said, "Wari kau, ojo unikikowa." I said, "And as if you can bring it now." I said, "No, I'll bring it tomorrow." And it came with a big box the following day
of negatives
of photographs taken from all over the world about Fela, and put them down. I said, "Okay." I said, "Femi, you know what? We can make money by, you know, do an exhibition of Fela's photographs. So let's select from this. We print them, we frame them. I'll get a venue." So that was how I got Alliance Française in Lagos. Got a venue, and then we printed it. I got in touch with Tinubu, who was governor there, to come and declare the exhibition open, which he did. Declared the exhibition open, and the exhibition was on for 1 week at Alliance Française. It was one of the days that a white guy walked up to me and said, "Look, you know, this is fantastic. Some of these photographs we have never seen before, that they will be loved all over the world. Where Fela is loved." He said they would love to take Femi on a tour.
That's Femi
Femi photo with the photographs. So that was how he took the exhibits abroad. You know, I guess.
Did you go with them?
No, I never did. So New York, Los Angeles, California, you know, Atlanta. He was taken on a trip of about 15 cities in US. Then went to France, went to Britain, went to Italy, and he was away.
He won't even come to you for money again.
No, he never came. That was the problem solved. So he came back. When he came back, he was cleaned up. The teeth that was already, you know, discolored by smoke and everything now became, you know, snow white, and it was clean and a bit chubby. I said, Babafemi photo, that kind of. We laugh over it. But not quite 3 months after he returned, he died. You know, I invited some of the children came to see me, and I was to continue dialoguing with them to ensure how we can get those films from them and digitalize those films, those negatives. Somehow they were not comfortable. I don't know. So they left, and I never see them again.
Those white people?
No, the children.
The children, okay.
The children. I was going to find a way how I could digitalize the data set, you know, but I never, you know, they came once. I gave them some money and tried to bring them closer to myself. But, you know, maybe somebody else, you know, deceived them somewhere. So I never saw them again.
So, but the photos you framed, where are they?
We sold a lot of that at the exhibition. And I have a couple, you know, that's one over there.
Okay.
You know, there is one by my door. In fact, my favorite is there.
Okay.
Where he's wearing short and leaning on a rail. So that's
Could that be a reason why, even if you use a photo of Fela on maybe YouTube,
yes,
there will be a mark on it?
Yes, of course. And before he died, I think he copyrighted all his photographs.
Everything.
But what I did not know was whether he submitted those negatives to the white folks abroad, or whether he came back with them. It's possible that he could have been convinced to hand over those negatives to them. Maybe the negatives were not even with his family by the time he died. But I learned when he was sick, he was taken to Akure to be nursed by an auntie of his, and then he passed on.
All right, so finally now, I can see lots of, let me call them shigidi.
Juju?
Yeah, juju. Some scary, some beautiful, but and I remember a movie, Edon, by Baba Lajaogunde.
Yes.
I can see one of them looking like Edon.
Yes.
How come are you in love? Are you a juju man? Are you in love with...
No, I'm actually a Muslim, but I love...
Are you a practicing Muslim? Do you pray 5 times a day?
No,
have you been to Hajj?
I've not gotten to that movie, but I think I'm going to go to Hajj next year. You know, I'm working at it.
Okay.
Aregbesola and the Muslim community are encouraging me to go deeper.
Okay.
And I told them my father never became a practicing Muslim until he was 65.
Okay.
So now, these artworks, honestly, the love of artworks, I picked up when I was in Ife. You know, before I became a student, I lived with Professor Banji Akitoye for 1 year. And the house was filled with artworks in those days. Okay. You know, then again, when you go on the campus, you see a lot of artworks, art department and other kinds of things. And so somehow, unconsciously, I bought into this. And my first work is in my library. The first work I bought with my money, I bought in Ghana when I went on a visit to Ghana. And ever since then, I've never stopped. Everywhere I've been in Africa and outside of Africa, I must come back home with something. You know, so that's how. And I've had a very substantial collection until 2000 and was it 2006 and 7. I got involved in the politics of this place. There was a tussle of power. This state between Kayode Fayemi, who was my candidate, and Segun Oni of PDP. You know, the tussle took us to 2 elections. Several legal tussles and all of that. You know, people come here, they visit, they see my collections and everything. Some of them, as you have said, they look so gory, and the local interpretation was that they were juju, and there was nothing about just, you know, aesthetics and all of that. So I came here on the weekend, and you know, by morning of Sunday, I left for Lagos at about 4 p.m. Just as I was arriving in Lagos, I got a call that there was a loud explosion, you know, in my gallery here, and the place got burned down. You know, so I think some put, you know, through the back, fire bombed it, and I lost all of the artworks. I've collected a lot of masks, you know, masquerade heads, you know, ancient ones, and around the kitchen, and I kept them there. You know, I was devastated. I felt very bad, but again, I remember Shiba Abiola came here to look at the ruins of the place and try to console me. So I had some in Lagos, you know, I then began collecting again, and that's what, you know, the paintings, the carvings, and all the.
So this is another startup.
Figures. Yeah, this is a startup after the first one. I still have quite some other ones that I've acquired right in the building that I rebuilt that time, turned to a library now, and I mean, if you enter the bedrooms, you have all manners of artworks.
But I hope there are no artworks that will be breathing at night.
No, none of them. Just
and they won't ask for water.
No, they are not asking for anything. Okay. You know, let me tell you a story. There was a day my auntie, she's late now. She came to my house in Lagos. I was not around. I was away in South Africa. She looked around, saw all of those things, and called my wife. Your wife is now a cultist too. So why did you say this? Look at Shoyinka's photograph. I had a Shoyinka photograph. I had a painting displayed in my house in Lagos. Then there was a Fela photograph. Then all these artworks said that I will never come back here again. And she never did until she died. That's the attitude of our people to art, you know, and that's why many of our artworks was set on fire. You know, in the past, some were sold, you know, sheepishly, and so those artworks are all over the world now.
And collecting artworks is quite expensive. Right?
Quite expensive. Sometimes I could deprive myself of food just to buy a piece of artwork. Yeah.
Now you told me you are working on a particular
museum.
Yeah, museum.
Yes, Olowe of
Ise
Art Museum. Yes.
Okay.
Olowe of Ise is an Ekiti man who died in 1937.
Okay.
You know, he lived part of you know, in the last century, likely, and created a lot of works of art. He was a fantastic sculptor.
You told me he used tubers of yam.
Yes, when he was an adolescent and he was a palace messenger, they said he used to carve, you know, tubers of yam. That was how he developed the talent, and became carver for kings and palaces. All of the seats, the thrones, the pillars of the palaces in Ekiti, in Akure, Ilesha, and you know, several cities of Yoruba land was
Olowe. I'm sure it will be uncelebrated. Here,
yes, uncelebrated. Yeah, but celebrated abroad. If you go to Smithsonian Institute in Washington D.C. There is a whole floor dedicated to his work. You know, in fact, the building itself, you know, was you know, the architecture of it was after, you know, a form of his work.
Okay.
Know? Yeah. Then if you go to the British Museum in London, a section of there to also contain his works. Go to France. Go to other parts of Europe.
Does he have any of his offspring?
Yes, none of them. Because again, as bad as we are as Africans, we mystify everything that we do. You know, he never showed any of his children how to do those things.
Okay.
You know, he made them believe that he's a spirit, and that those things are spiritual.
Or maybe
he was actually a priest of Ogun.
Okay.
In his lifetime. So his wife will not even go near where he's working.
Okay.
You know, but the Oba in the palace of who he served loaned him out to kings. Go and carve in Ado-Ekiti. Go and carve in Ogbagi. Go and carve in Erun. Go and carve in Ikere. The late Oba of Ikere actually had massive collections. The white people came here in 1920 something and said they were doing an exhibition in Wembley, and they requested for Olowe's works and they carted them away.
Okay.
They never returned them. But we are making efforts now. Okay. You know, I'm talking to top lawyers in Britain so that we could, you know, we are going to sue them just the way Benin is beginning to recover the artwork stolen. We are going to bring back, because they never bought any of those things. They just stole them. Same thing with the ones in the museums in America. We're going to look at how we are going to. But meanwhile, I've been writing about him over a long period of time. You know, but there was an article I read where they said no offspring of his is alive.
Okay.
I was challenged by that, so I came home to Ekiti on the weekend and I said, okay. He said, just less than an hour drive from here. Let me go and check out myself. I went with one of my brothers and we got to the town. We saw some young men playing Ayo game under the tree and said, come. You know, we are looking for family members of Olowe. He said, I know them. He went and then brought a young man who happens to be a grandson of Olowe. You know, so that one now took us to their old homes, abandoned and dilapidating by the graveyard of the man. They come there once in a year to sacrifice dogs and you know, and those kind of things. So I then went, took photographs, and then wrote an article, put on Facebook, LinkedIn, and sent to Medium. And people were asking questions and all of that. Photograph of the grandson and some of the efforts they have made to preserve their father's works. And so, and I forwarded a copy to the governor. The governor really saw it and read it. He called me and said, Mom, we have to do something about this. So he ran down here and said, look, when will you have time for us to go back to his cell? So he took on some members of his cabinet and myself. We went to his cell, went to the Oba's palace. The chiefs were seated and we discussed the issue, went to the house, took photographs again, and now said, okay, we have to start something. Let's set up a foundation, have the board of trustees. Let's get people who are interested in these things to be on it. So I knocked on the door of James Shillon, the biggest collector in Africa, you know, and went to see Mama Nike
at gallery.
They enthusiastically, you know, they've heard about Olowe. Shillon actually has some of his works, about 4 or 5 of his works in his collections, and they were ready to join me, and a few other people came on board. So we have been working on since then. We have hired an architect to come up with a drawing, and now on October 27 at again Eco Hotel, we are going to have a fundraiser there where we are going to bring out collectors, rich people to donate. We have a budget of about 3.5 billion naira to build a museum on that spot where his house is located. We are going to take on about other 10 houses so that we can have a big compound and, you know, well laid out museum that will be of world standard. People can come from all over the world to come and see, and hopefully when we recover some of those works, we're going to keep them there. It's not just going to be his work. Other works, Yoruba carvers and artists can find a place in that place as well. Yeah.
Sir, thank you. I'm talking to you English, but it's somehow it's getting so.
Sometimes because I work in English, I always, you know, and it's not a good thing really. Koda, kajomo Yoruba, you know. Easy for a lot.
You know,
All right. So I think I'm But you share Lori
All right. Sir. Well, I believe you're going to take us around all this
I'll
just after this video.
Yes.
Well, I've been speaking with Senator Babafemi Ojudu. Eric is a man of so many parts: arts, entertainment,
and farming.
Okay, and farming too. Yeah, Moria on flower, but more mani okowaju.
Okowa lẹ́yìn wa ni okowa nugboro.
Okowa ni
oko etile wa.
Okay.
Oko tí oko etile náà wà.
Oko yẹn ni okowaju oko etile ni to si.
To sọ̀rọ̀ àdé inú ilé.
Okowaju ni to lè jẹ́ ìlú mi gan. Yes. So
I also do farm in the north.
She livestock le ṣe abi.
No, I grow things. I have livestock too.
Okay.
Not too massive, you know. Okay. Even here, I'm the what you call the dwarf Nigerian goats.
Okay.
Yeah, the one they use for asun. Yeah. I have some.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I have a fish pond here. I have geese. I have ducks and all those things. In fact, I just picked up 2 tortoises and yes, that
okay.
I have.
Please, you take us
around. I feed them every morning.
You take us around.
I'll show you.
All right.
And I have a collection of books.
Okay.
All right. I have my peace. I'm enjoying myself outside politics. Honestly, there is no life like this. I have no anxiety of any kind. I'm not after any power. I'm not after anything. I wake up. I read. I write. I bring in entertainers here. We enjoy ourselves. Whatever is available, we share.
Okay.
And there's no pressure on me of any kind.
So people stopped coming to tell you that I want to delay.
No, they still come, but okay. I'm not compelled.
Yeah.
Because I want to run for election. I want people to vote for me, or I want them to say good things about me. If you like, abuse me, it's your problem. I'm not asking for vote from you. If you like, say I'm this and that, it's your own problem. I don't listen to all of that again. People come to me, somebody's saying negative things. I say, it's his own problem. It's not my problem. I know myself. And if he doesn't know me, let him go and die with his prejudice.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we should start from here. You can see all of these things. You have the after you have Nok culture, you have the Benin one. You have Asian,
The Nok culture,
yes.
Nok culture.
Nok culture is the practice of art in the Middle Belt area.
Okay.
In the early times. It's been well celebrated all over the world. For example, this is Nok.
Okay.
They have metal, they have clay, and people have studied them. They've studied them all over the world, and books have been written about them.
Okay. Yeah. This is metal, right?
This is a Benin.
Benin, okay.
This is bronze work. This is an Igala kind of work. This is Asian.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's this I just got from a local carver in Ekiti just to encourage him. This is Shango's symbol. That's an old one.
Ose
Songo. This is one, and that's another Ose Songo. Okay. Over there. Yeah, these are the kind of things they used to see. Giant one.
Okay.
This is a drum, that I've just acquired. I'm told that it's like to be about 150 years old.
Okay.
That's a drum out there.
It's about 150 years old.
Yes. Yeah.
That will come with a high cost.
Yeah, very, 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 very. These are stone carvings from Kenya.
Okay.
Stone carving from Nigeria.
So this is stone.
This is stone. Yes. This is stone.
Quite heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It is. Yeah. So you can see paintings of all kinds. That's the
Fela.
Photograph of Fela.
Okay.
And one of the photographs we exhibited at that time.
Okay.
Awolowo is my hero. Yeah. I wish I'm as intelligent as Sam. And I'm the. So it's,
okay.
So the photograph there is what I looked like when I came out of Abacha's jail.
Okay.
That's what you find there.
How old were you here?
That's 1998. So I think we walk it back. I was probably not 40 then.
So how long Gulag Abacha?
8 months plus.
Wow.
That's intercenter just by the coincimetry.
Okay, so briefly, keen experience in
it was solitary confinement. I was made to sleep on the bare floor. I walk one single cloth for that period.
For 8 months.
For 8 months. 8 months.
So let you confirm. So you come
and sell. Yeah.
No book, nothing.
No anything.
For 8 months.
I almost lost my mind. So the clothes I wore for 8 months, for more than 8 months, is in a museum in America. It's called Museum in the epicenter of Washington DC. Yeah. So
more imagine what Abiola passed through.
No, Abiola. Well, whatever the detention, anybody in which anybody gets himself is not good enough. Yeah, but he probably was detained in a facility within an army formation. Okay. Where, of course, we have the beds and those kind of things, and a cook to cook food. And in our case, somebody goes to Obalende to buy about 10 naira, meat 5 naira, then pure water. Okay. 20 naira budget per day. No, I take that back. Is it 20 naira per day? 10 naira in the night, 10 naira in the morning. 20 naira. Wow. So that was the way we lived. In fact, I took on the cell that Obasanjo left. You know, Obasanjo was arrested for plotting coup. Yeah. He was taken to the research center, but he was given a small mattress on the floor. But by the time they took me in there, they removed the mattress and put me on the bare floor. Okay. So I developed sinus, and I've not recovered from it till then. Yeah. Yeah. So. Okay. So this is one of the photographs that were exhibited at the Fela photograph exhibition. Artworks I've collected. This is my father. Okay. And photograph and the Latins. How are you? Yeah.
I can record now.
Yeah, we are recording here.
So this is. I'm calling.
Yes. Yeah. These are. Yeah. Is Ade there? About me, she can library here.
For me, do what I'm going to do. Show me the map.
About me, she look good. Show me she. So, Lami, this is a fish pond. This is where I farm the fish I consume and I give to my friends. You know. So that's the fish.
So I'm at the fish fry.
Oh yeah, I will even give you dry one to take with. I harvest them. Okay. And I will take them. I'll dry them and keep them. Send some to my children. Give some to my friends. You know. Here you have the fingerlings. Okay. The ones that are yet to. So when they grow up to a point, I'll pour them I will harvest and pour them there again. Okay. And they will start growing. Right. Sometimes I harvest 1,000, 2,000. The one I just harvested was from here. It's about 2,000.
2,000.
Yes. Wow. So it's so we have that's our native kitchen. If we have something big to cook. Okay. We do that there. Okay. Yes. So all these chairs are artworks.
Carvings.
This is a stone. That's a stone bench. This one will last.
Marble.
Yeah, to last for a long time. Yes. At the back of the fence, I have a farm where I do cassava, do maize, ginger, and a number of other things. Yeah. Then we move on.
Geese, have you?
No. These are ducks. Foreign ducks. Okay. They are foreign ducks. I have the local ones. Okay, these are the local ones. Okay. These are the local ducks. Yeah. Go and open the place for me. So I do food processing. Okay. To keep myself busy and earn income enough to pay my domestic staff. Okay. What I do is I have a plantation, a plantain plantation. We harvest the plantain, we peel it, the machine dry it, then we process it to plantain flour. I will also let you have some of that. Okay. So this is my latest friends, the tortoise. Oh, so the tortoise is Chemaring Kereni? Yeah, grow. Yeah, it can live as long as 500 years. 500 years. So I have male and female there. So very soon I'm going to create a place where we keep them. There'll be water, they can move around, they can go out.
Watermelon.
You do watermelon, they eat vegetable. Yes, I just saw that somewhere. I just put it there. Let me experimenting to see if they can coexist.
So
yeah, so that's okay. So I have the goats here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These are the geese.
Okay.
Yeah, geese.
But family dogs, no one.
Family, but these are wild. They used to be there, but if
more wild, I mean.
One shy and one laying. Yes, so they were troubling my visitors.
Okay.
So I had to bring them. Then they are very destructive.
Okay.
They will eat all the flowers.
Okay. Only movie called The Wild Geese.
Oh yeah, really wild. They are very wild. So let's go to the library.
Be on the next. You don't got to any plan on
Let's go. Okay, it's not sticky. It's not sticky. Okay, so
this is the library.
This is the library now. Yeah, and this is library and home office.
Okay.
Yeah, these are artworks.
Okay. Who kills the Legiwa?
Yes, it's a painting.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see this is a mermaid.
Okay.
With snakes and all kinds of reptiles around it. And this is a ekpa. They call this ekpa mask.
Okay.
Ekpa, you can see. These ones I acquired from Cameroon. Some of this. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah, all of these are paintings that have not hanged.
Okay.
So,
even the Kingston there.
Yes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere here. Okay. PSC.
Okay.
My life, my music.
Yes.
I think that's the one you are talking about.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you still get one.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Autographed.
Autograph copy gun from Kes himself. I want to deliver this to some people. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, these are my books. Copies of my magazines. Banded at that time.
And we're waiting.
Yes, I think I have one somewhere here, if I'm right. I've written about 3 books. I'm still working on some more.
Okay, thank you, sir. But the next one, that one about Professor Osinbajo, I'm sure it's going to be explosive.
Oh yes. But I'm still bidding my time. I'm writing it, but I'm bidding my time. What is complete now that I will release in October is my Adventures of a Guerrilla Journalist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the title. Adventures of a Guerrilla Journalist. So these are also some artworks here, all the books here. So these are my books.
This is it's money.
Yes. I just got this set of books yesterday.
Okay.
There are 5. It's a white man who's been acquiring African art, Nigerian art for a long time.
Okay.
Since the 60s. So he has taken photographs of them and turned them into books. You can see. So some of these works are kept in GRA Kejadia, where he has it. Then this is one of my prized awards, the honor of Senator Babafemi Ojudu, proclamation of the city of Atlanta.
Okay.
Yes, that's that. Yeah. So we have all of the awards here and over there. Family albums and stuff. So it's like I'm satisfied.
You're fulfilled.
I'm fulfilled, yes. So we are still organizing. You look better very soon. Have to do a better job of.
So how close are you to Baba Obasanjo?
No, I don't.
You are not.
The only encounter I've had with him was going to interview him in Ota. Nothing.
That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Okay. Let's go to the Adireke thing.
Okay.
So my mother died in 2002. I got a lot of money from friends. People like Dangote gave me money, Tinubu gave me money there, and a lot of other friends. So I did the burial. I said I should do something in memory of my mother.
Okay.
To train women on entrepreneur and all those things. So that was when I built this section.
Okay.
And the one in front to train women. So I started training women. I brought in people, and when you train them, you want to give them facilities to work with. When you give them those facilities, they just take it to the market and sell.
So, okay.
At the end of the day, we do that. I was so angry, that. There was a time I brought together 570 women, 10 per ward of my Central District. I brought a cooperative expert to train them. I opened bank account for them. I said, look, for every 10 per ward, I'll put a sum of 25,000 naira per person. Okay. So that they will use it as a rotating loan, that kind of thing. So we organized a big event. Mr. Tinubu came. My wife bought them Ankara, Gele, and so on the eve of the program, the women came here protesting that they don't want anything collective. Wow. I should share, give them the envelope. I was going to cancel it. My wife said they would take you at 419. Wow. Just give them there and let them go. So overnight, my wife and myself were counting 25,000 and putting in an envelope all night. So we went to the event, had a big outing and give them the money. Right outside the hall, I saw them sharing the money with party leaders. Wow. That was when I said, those are the kind of frustrations.
So you said it's not about our constitution.
Yeah, it's not about
it's about it's about us as a people.
It's about us as a people, yes. So that was how I abandoned this place after. I never did anything until the board of trustees of Lower Office Art Foundation was inaugurated. And we went for lunch at the governor's house. And Nick just said, madam, the thing I'm doing in Lagos, you can train women here to do Ajire. That will earn them a living. I will assist you. I will send my people from Lagos to come and train them. And I said, that is really with me. And I told the government, the wife and mama that I have this facility that is life and come and take it out. That was how we started.
Is this one of their products?
Yes, it is. So this is it. This is the place.
Madam Raliat
Ojudu.
Ojudu. What is the meaning of Ojudu?
Ojudu. People think it is a blackface. It's not. My great grandfather was a big giant farmer here. Farms yam. In fact, according to the story, it is his yam that comes out first every year. Okay. So, and he used to take a lot of laborers to the farm. If they arrive the farm at TCM, he will keep telling them, Ojudu. Okay.
Ojudu, okay.
So the name then stuck about Babajidu. Okay. Then it was later corrupted to Ojudu.
Okay.
So that's it. Dedicated this 27th day of July 2012 by the Civil Senator Tinubu to show you how close we were. The building is in loving memory of our dear mother. The foundation laying ceremony was on the 34th day of July 2002 by His Excellency Abiola at our committee.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, yes. Madam was here around. Okay, okay, so this is the hub.
Okay.
So far, 400 women have been trained here.
Okay.
Yeah, very soon we'll start another set of training of 200 women, additional 200. So they do ready to wear, which you are seeing now. These are the products of the women who were trained here.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we'll go
there.
Okay.
We'll
then what about the sewing here?
Yeah, the sewing is done here. Okay. You have the machine. Yeah, that's the machine. So the Nika brought his
Nika gallery.
Yes, to come and train the first set of and train the trainers.
Okay.
So now there are people locally here who trained whoever is interested in being trained.
Okay.
That's the way it has worked. So people come in, they come here to buy, they order online and all of that.
Okay.
Yes. So, how are you? Well done. So, here is where my parents were buried.
Okay.
Yes. That's my Alhaji Jimo of Ojudu. And that's my mom.
Oh, Baba pẹ́ kan tó kú.
Wọ́n pẹ́ ju wọn wá lọ. Akushao. Yes. So these are the women.
Okay. Akushao.
So this is where they do the work.
Okay.
Yeah. I have as many as 50 persons at a time being trained and working.
Okay.
This is a workshop.
But Ekiti people, Ekiti women in Congress.
Yes, Ekiti. But if you have people you want to sponsor, they take in people to come for training. And it's just the training is just for about 2 weeks max.
Okay.
Intensive one can be done in 1 week. Yeah. Intensive training can be done in 1 week. All kinds of patterns and yes, that's it.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there we are. So when I had to build 2 chalets for my children in case they come home.
Okay.
And then did the swimming pool, thinking that I could attract them home.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Only one, my firstborn, has been interested in coming home.
Okay.
The others are in Europe and Canada.
Okay.
They are doing well there. And they just ask me, what are we coming there to do?
So sometimes it's realistic when you don't build something too big.
Yes, but it's better not to.
No child is.
No, they won't come.
Shower take, but drag we come.
That's why I was excited. See your son, following you and.
Anyway, time to actually tell him,
to take interest, he will take it to a higher height than what we are doing now. Maybe we now set up a television station.
Yeah.
That's it. That's where we are.
Okay.
That's it.